On this episode of the Star Wars Time Show, Matt and Nick will not only lay down their wants and dreams for Bad Batch Season 3, but they'll also drop down some take-it-to-the-bank predictions for what may happen to Clone Force 99 and the other clone bros. Will Tech return? Who will die? Will Vader show up? Tune in to find out, and make sure to stick around for an update on The Mandalorian and Grogu and when it is set to hit theaters. Of course, the show will end with a question of the week responses and the latest round of top 5 Star Wars fan artist features. Punch it, Chewie.
Hey, now everybody, it's gonna be a tech show from hell. Yeah, Star Wars Time Show. That's how we roll. What the hell's going on? My camera's not even.
Camera's not on. Stream's not. It's all right. We're here to talk about Star Wars.
We love you. We got to nail the intro. Bat is the man. Hey, we did something right today.
Be mad.
Be mad. My bad. Hey. It's time to restart already. I'm already starting to malfunction here because of a little tech issue right before we went live. I sent the stream over and YouTube basically gave us the double bird. It said live streams aren't working right now. And it's like, bullshit. You're YouTube. I mean, come on. You don't go down unless AWS is down. And we're not going to get into all that shit because I kind of hate AWS right now, too. You know, Nick, you're somewhat of a technical person, right?
Yeah, somewhat, yes.
I have had a support case in with Amazon and AWS for 2 weeks now for them to figure out why I can no longer change my fucking passwords. Because every time I go to log in security on Amazon Retail, it redirects me to an MFA box for AWS. I've disabled MFA on all accounts. I've talked to every Indian in their fucking support center, and they're like, well, I'm going, hey, I can't change my password. And I'm someone out there that, like, I'm a big fan of strong passwords, two-factor, MFA, whatever you want to call it. I believe in this shit because I have a master's in cybersecurity. I teach this stupid shit, and it's driving me nuts. I feel naked. And part of the show is on AWS. So the show's penis is also being exposed right now. Anyways, that's not why we're here. We're here to talk all things NFL. Yeah, this is the NFL Time Show. Welcome, Matt and Nick. No, in all seriousness, I mean, if you missed the Super Bowl, what's wrong with you? It really should be. Nick, I know, we talked beforehand, not really your thing. I'm with you too. I love the game of football, but I typically only get into games when the Steelers are playing. Obviously, they blow because Mike Tomlin is average at best. So, I've had to make the Super Bowls somewhat entertaining for myself these past few years. And luckily, Ohio now has legal gambling, and that really made Sunday fun, even though I think I wagered $150, but only ended up losing 20 total. So I guess I spent $20 to have some fun watching the Chiefs come back and beat the 49ers. Really not trying to do, a full Super Bowl thing at all. Because, we got some Star Wars to talk about. We are 1 week out from Bad Batch Season 3 dropping. The real media, they dropped their early previews yesterday, Nick, so the embargoes are up. They got to see the first 8 episodes. And across the board, I'm just getting, yeah, Bad Batch. This is why we love it. This is why it's the best animated Star Wars. It's deep, it's dark, it's emotional. So that's exciting. So Nick and I, we're here to kind of prime you, to get you ready, to get chubbed up, get those nipples hard for next week. Not only does the Bad Batch return with its final season, a triple episode drop at that, but the SWTS is moving to Wednesdays. That's right. We are leaving our home on Tuesday nights and we're going to go ahead and hop our little happy asses over to Wednesdays at 5, youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show. Woo! I am getting excited. I'm also getting a little like, shit, I got to get up early and get all my Star Wars Time OCD out before my real job starts on Wednesdays for now until May. But hey, we'll have some fun. We'll have some fun, hopefully.
Figure something out.
It's like Nick said, I mean, as a Star Wars content creator, we always know when a show is in season that we're going to get a little bit extra juice. But Nick reminded me, he's like, hey, dude, it's Bad Batch, pal. So, like,
yeah, it's animated Star Wars and specifically Bad Batch because, season 7 of Clone Wars did pretty well, but like people don't care about the Bad Batch. Let's just be real. Like, yeah, I know that people in this chat care about it, but the general consciousness of Star Wars viewers couldn't give two shits about the Bad Batch.
Agreed. So, obviously we dig it. And yes, League's asking, will it be a permanent move? Yeah, it just makes sense for us. There's so many like toy shows on a Tuesday, and we know a good part of our community at least started there, and they may want to check that shit out. So Wednesdays we seem to just naturally get better traction. Plus, we're tired of being yelled at by some of the more vocal fans about, hey, you guys take a whole week to break down the Disney Star Wars. We don't like it. It's like, well, you got a little bit of a point. So we do what we must for the small vocal fans of Star Wars. We're kind of like Disney, right, Nick? We will change anything if a few fans yell on social media. Okay?
Yeah.
We will pander our asses off. Okay? So yeah, that's what we got. But before we get there's all sorts of like little low-hanging fruit Star Wars to get through. I mean, we got to talk about what Empire did to everyone last week. I loved it. It just goes back to the media literacy that I've been trying to train some of you in. We'll address that. We'll address the Sam Jackson stuff, the Ian stuff. What the hell is this? McDiarmid. old Ian. Great cover, by the way, with Ian. Nick, did you see it where he's kind of holding that like the electro ball, all dark? They got like a spotlight on him. Pretty great stuff. Star Wars Photoshop did some fantastic work with it, by the way. Check it out on our Instagram page at StarWarsTime.show. Right in the stories there. Good stuff there. Yeah, B-Mad quit his job to watch us on Tuesdays. Yeah. Good thing he was quitting. Yeah. Hey, I just think we're going to have fun on Wednesdays. But anyways, Super Bowl, real quick. Love Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. I'm a sucker for love stories, and I really hope that someone follows them now that the season's over with GoPros or TikToks or whatever, because I need my Travis and Taylor fix. I think it's genuine love. And Jason Kelce is also a hero of mine. I mean, I don't know, Nick, if you saw him partying, he was wearing a luchador mask, his Kansas City like overalls, and just wrecked. So that was awesome. I thought the commercials for the most part blew. The Deadpool and Wolverine looks fantastic. Love it. Even though it's looping in TVA stuff from Loki, who cares? It looks fantastic. The next Planet of the Apes movie just looks amazing. And then the Quiet Place prequel, like John Krasinski, who knew? Like, who knew this guy had that much talent in him? I mean, there must be a reason Emily Blunt ended up with him after all. So those are really standouts, and I do have to give some kudos to Usher. Obviously, I'm a person of his generation. He's only a couple years older than me, but shit, I thought he tore it up. 45 years old out there moving like that, actually singing and dancing, not lip syncing. Pretty impressive. So overall, even though the Steelers weren't there because they blow, because hey, yeah, winning seasons, I thought it was a pretty damn fun, entertaining Super Bowl, and I'd love to at least go to Las Vegas for the next one because that is the city to host a Super Bowl. Holy shit! Can you imagine what's probably been going on in that city for the past week, dude? I mean,
no. I'll say this. I never want to go to Las Vegas. It is a city that I have no interest in.
Have you ever been
to at all?
Have you ever? You've never been. Like, not. You
No.
don't even want to do it once. You're like, I cancel.
No, I have no interest in it. Like, I don't like to gamble. Like, I'm not a huge like show person or anything like that. The city for me just doesn't have anything that I'm interested in.
Got you.
So like, I
what about the Sphere?
will-
You know, get a little cooked up on some nature and go to the Sphere and stare at that thing.
Nah, I'm okay. I'm sure that there's a live stream of that somewhere on the internet. But like, it's just like Vegas is a city that just doesn't have anything I'm interested in.
All right.
I don't gamble, and then like, I don't go to like, I'll go to a show like an actual like stage performance play every now and then with Taylor. Like, we're gonna go see Wicked when it comes through Austin. pretty soon.
Speaking of that, Nick, Wicked movie trailer dropped as well.
I didn't see it. But I did see that it came out or that it dropped. But yeah, like the Vegas, no interest. Vegas during the Super Bowl, super no interest unless the Saints are in it. Because honestly, if the Saints aren't in a football game,
You're
I'm
out.
totally uninterested. Like I was telling Matt before this went live, the only reason that the Super Bowl was on our TV last night was because one of Taylor's friends had plans that fell through. And she wanted to watch it, and I was like, I guess she could come over here. Like, I'll cook some wings and stuff and whatever.
See, you know, I mean, you still got into the spirit of it, Nick. I mean, cooking wings, that's Super Bowl. And that's kind of what I was saying earlier. This needs to become an American holiday. I'm not fucking kidding.
I'll take the holiday off. More than likely, I won't
You're
watch
down
the
for
game.
that, though. You're down for the holiday. All right.
Yeah,
so
I'll take the day off of work for sure.
We'll get
or
Nick.
the next day. But like, I don't give a fuck about the NFL. Like, honestly, like the fact that the Chiefs or the 49ers won does not affect me in the least.
It kind of bums me out because it's clear now that the AFC has another fucking dynasty only 3 years after the Patriots' 20-plus year dynasty ended. So that kind of sucks, being a fan of the Steelers. But a fan of the game and just sports in general, it's hard not to appreciate what Mahomes, Kelsey, Reed, and them are doing. I wouldn't mind, hey, Pat, break your leg or something if the Steelers end up getting a quarterback, but yeah, it's impressive.
I will say this: the way that we watched it was on Paramount Plus because we don't have cable and we don't have YouTube TV or anything like that.
I heard
so the
that
game
was a
on,
shit show.
No, I mean it's totally fine.
Okay.
Like like from what I remember, like if something, I mean, granted, I was not paying attention to it, so if it fucked up, I probably wouldn't have noticed it anyway.
Were you watching the Nickelodeon feed where Dora the Explorer would explain?
I fucking wish I could have found that one. That was not available on Paramount Plus, and that's what I was gonna say. Is at least it would have been entertaining if I would have had the fucking Nickelodeon one on. Because the one thing that I definitely want to do is listen to fucking Tony Romo and Jim Nantz drone on endlessly in a game that is probably one of the most boring football games that I watched for a whole half. Like
Tony's a man.
It was the most droll shit that and it was just on in the background, and I was like, and then my friends were messaging on in the group chat that we're in, and they're like, oh yeah, we're watching the Nickelodeon version of it. It's so funny. And I was like, fuck, can I find that? And it was only on cable and YouTube TV, which sucked because I got I don't give a fuck about Tony Romo's breaking down this game. And I played football growing up. I played football. I played all the sports, but the storylines in these games are trash.
He ain't having it. He ain't having it.
They just don't tell good stories anymore. Or it's just that after you do sports for after you watch so many different, versions of sports for so long, all the storylines are the fucking same and it just gets boring.
Yeah, I don't know. I still dig it. I become a diehard Pat McAfee fan. I mean, outside of the Rodgers connection, I love this guy. I mean, he's born and raised Pittsburgh. He's a Yinzer. He's charismatic as fuck. I had no clue that he did a stint in the WWE, and he's back on Raw now. So, he's got that personality. But they did a show all last week right on Radio Row, had a huge set, and it was prime entertainment. I wish we could be them one day, Nick. I would love to have the Matt Haywood show. Nick obviously would be involved, but I want that. That would be my dream. To just every day to just sit in the Thunderdome, standing at my desk, yelling into a mic about Star Wars or sports. It would be fantastic. All right. I can tell we're losing the chat here. A little too much football talk. Carver, I'll give you that. The Schwarzenegger State Farm stuff was awesome. In fact, those in the toy community, you probably know that Plastic Action Jacks worked with them to create a Schwarzenegger State Farm action figure and did some toy photography shots over on Plastic Action. Pretty great stuff. And yes, the Dunkin' Donuts with the Boston boys was fantastic too. Brady, Matt, Ben, just quality stuff.
Oh yeah, I caught that one in like the middle or something like that when they had already started dancing.
It was fantastic. It's like that. That one you actually feel like they put some money into and they had some smart people behind it. Otherwise, I feel like most companies that spent the $7 million for 30 seconds just flush that shit down the toilet. And movie trailers are hilarious, dude. They're like, oh, hey, new trailer. Go watch it online because we're not paying for 2 minutes worth of ad time.
Smart. Smart, honestly.
All right. So, there's our Super Bowl. It was fun. Would have been more fun if our teams were in it. And that could happen. There's an AFC, NFC split.
Yeah.
So if you ever see the show cancel, it'll probably be when those two teams play each other. Right?
Yeah.
That'll be the last day of SWTS.
Yeah.
All right, Nick. So we do have some official news to get into before we start picking through some of the Empire coverage of TPM's 25th anniversary that just absolutely trolled some of the biggest Star Wars fan channels last week, and I love it. What I love even more is their negative reaction to them being stupid, but we will get into that because I like to kind of highlight how dumb people are. But anyways, outside of me clearly spending way too much time on Sideshow, as you can see, my targeted ads, even on our own site, are nothing but Hot Toys. Probably because you fuckers finally convinced me to buy this C-3PO. Yes, I did it, finally. And then I had to get the Han. So that will now, Nick, I will finally, once these two show up in another year or so, I will finally have the full original trilogy cast. Okay.
Nice.
I know that was bothering you. I know that was something that really upset you. Every time you would come online, you'd be like, hey, dude, do you have the cash yet? And I'd say, no. You'd be like, you're a loser. And I'd be like, I know, Nick. It takes some time, but I'm finally going to have the full OT. Anyways. So this Mandalorian Grogu thing seems to be the title, huh, buddy? Because, we're getting some graphics now being put out about it. Literally Star Wars, the Mandalorian and Grogu. But more importantly, Disney had a pretty big news week last week. I think it kind of got drowned out because it was Super Bowl week, but they had their, I don't know if it was the end of year call, Nick, but it was one of their big quarterly earnings. So obviously, Big Dick Bob Iger gets on there and starts talking about everything, and that's going to justify his $40 million bonus or whatever. But he did drop some official news for us soothsayers, and now we can start kind of speaking to the roadmap and what Star Wars film is going to hit when. So it's at least clear at this point in time that we're getting 3 movies, Nick, between 26 and 27. You heard that right. They're going to try another double release year, just like the formula that sunk Star Wars movies in 2017, or 18 with, TLJ and then Solo coming soon after it. But the important stuff here is on this call, Bob said the first movie out will be The Mandalorian Grogu. So that's done. Unless he, goes back on his word or something gets jacked up again at Lucasfilm, which, hey, we know is there's a great chance of that happening, especially with movies.
Yeah,
I mean, come on. There's like, hey, Taika, Ryan. I mean, at this point in time, Ryan Johnson's trilogy could technically be done, like out. We all have it on our streaming decks, whatever. Or I know some of you probably would have boycotted it, but I mean, we're 5 years past Tross at this point in time.
Yeah, 5 years in December.
I don't think Disney, when they bought this shit in 2012, was like, around 2019, we're going to take a fucking 5-year break from movies. Because, why not? Why not? Yeah, remember back then, Nick, that's all Star Wars was movies. They didn't even have like the TV plans yet. So
yeah, I think that it was just like at that time too, it's like they had clearly finished whatever their plans were for the sequel trilogy. So that was done. And they had decided after Solo, like
no more Star Wars stories.
Yeah, like no more spinoffs. So they really didn't have a choice. Like they really
there was no plan.
They were put in a position to where it's like, okay, well, we've publicly stated that we're not going to do spin-off movies anymore, so we can't do one of those. And we just finished the only trilogy that we were working on, so we don't have anything else locked and loaded. So that's when it just became TV land. Like it was all TV.
I mean, if you think about it, Nick, we've gotten 2 TV series that used to be movies, The Book of Boba Fett and Kenobi. I mean, it's just, they were done deals. We had scripts, they were films. Mangold talked about it. He was like, I was going to make Boba like rated X. But oh well. Hey, look at this 1/6 shooter showing up. Speaking of him, look, he's making a call out to the scoundrels. We probably should figure that out. Things have gotten a little chaotic now. Bad Batch is starting. We're moving to Wednesdays. Might have to do scoundrels on Tuesdays. So Trevor, if you hear us, get in Discord and drop out some potential dates, February into March. How's that? There we go. We're planning live. We are planning live. B-Mad's asking, how long was it from episode 6 to episode 1? A long fucking time. Like it was almost 20 years. It was 83 to 99.
Yeah, 83 to 99, 16 years.
So you youngins, you got to remember, like us old people, think about the wait we had. And this is where I know Connor from Beyond the Dune Sea is, he's got some high intelligence. He's like, I think we forget that you all had all that time to sit there and think about prequel stories. And then when it was announced, you had another 3 or 4 years to think about what you're going to see. And, hey, we suffered from the headcanon pitfalls that everyone does. But it is, I mean, some of you youngins that were born with the prequels, you've never really had to sit idle. I mean, a couple years after Revenge, we had to wait till 28 before the cartoon started. So, they had a little bit of a down period there, but
well, even before that, like I think it was 2007 when the Clone Wars movie came out, the animated movie.
No, that's what I was talking about. So, Sith dropped in 2005, and then I believe the movie, Nick, was actually 2008.
Okay, I thought it was 2007, but that you are probably right.
So,
August 15th, 2008.
Yeah, so you haven't really had to. Those of us. Here we go, Carver Tate. Those of us in our 40s refer to that 16-year period as the Dark Ages. Yeah, I mean, it's just, you never knew. I mean, that's why I think all of us were so excited for the idea of the special editions, because it gave us another chance to go see a Star Wars movie in theaters, which we're going to be talking about here in a little bit. Prequel fans are going to have that chance coming up in May, and I'm kind of excited for it. I'm definitely going to make a trip. All right. Here we go. So, like I said, back to this story. So, Bob Iger, Nick, he's on this call. Mandalorian and Grogu is going to be the first movie out. So, we're like, okay, well, when is that? Well, it just so happens we also got a refreshed Lucasfilm movie schedule. Mm-hmm. And if you look through it, everything is still untitled. But based on what Bob said, Mandalorian and Grogu will be the first movie to hit theaters. Mandalorian and Grogu is coming out May 26th. So we still have 2 full years to wait. Mm-hmm. I know, you and I, we'd been kind of eyeing up the December 25 date as a potential. That is out the window at this point in time. So it's looking like Mando and Grogu, May 26th. But then, Nick, there's another unnamed Star Wars movie in the December 26th slot.
Yep.
Which... Ray, you think, just based on the level of heat and script? Yeah, we know we got a script. Daisy's signed on.
I mean, honestly, if that's going to turn into a series, I mean, I don't know what their plans are, but the way that this is setting up, it looks like if they're going to go back to a 2 movie a year system for Star Wars, or dropping 2 movies at the same time, then they may use the May slot, the summer slot for one-offs, and then the December Christmas holiday slot for Yeah, for like the bigger, either like sequelized or like series based movie. So yeah, I mean, that would make sense to me. That the 26 December release would be the Rey movie, because that's the only one that we have any like kind of solid
yeah, I mean,
around.
it's got to be her or Dave's, and Dave's just doesn't make sense if they're doing Mando and Grogu in May. Like, why suck away any of his punch for a Mandoverse movie a few months before it releases? So, yeah, I'm thinking Daisies goes in December of 26, and then December 27.
Another one.
Is that like, could that potentially be Mangold, or is that Dave's Mandoverse?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I would imagine that would be the Mandoverse finale movie, like or whatever crossover, whatever you want to call it. I imagine it would be that, because the Mangold movie is still like we don't really know anything about it
right
yet, other than like it's Dawn of the Jedi time. It's like way in the past, and it would make the most sense given what Disney's like kind of plan is to bring the Mandoverse to a close before you start more heavy investment into the film side, because once you bring the Mandoverse to a close, your investment on the TV side is going to be much lower. So you can take the funds that you would have used for TV shows and invest that into the movie side of things. So that's my thought on it, is like they want to close out the Mandoverse shit by 27 and then reinvest the money that would be gone into those series into film again.
More movies. Yeah, it's weird, because if Mando Grogu's going May 26, we need to get Ahsoka ran before the next Mando movie. And you could argue until Disney comes out and straight up says, hey, no more Mando, no season 4, there's potential that we have a whole other season of Mando owed to us. Do you like how I use the word owed?
Yeah.
So the December 27 could be James, or hey, maybe Taika pulls a script out of his ass or something. But I think one thing that we all can at least take to heart right now, Mando Grogu, May 26. That seems like a stone cold lock, both from Iger saying it on an earnings call and then getting this release schedule. There's a bunch of untitled Marvel on there as well. So
yeah, a lot of untitled Marvel, which is surprising considering, I mean, there's 3 Marvel movies releasing in 26. And given what Iger said about pulling back from Marvel and focusing on core storylines,
liar,
like, that's pretty crazy. So, I mean, I don't know what these are, but, you know, we have Captain America New World 25, and then the Fantastic Four movie in Thunderbolts. The Thunderbolts thing, I'm fucking blown away that they're actually going to do that. Like, that.
Homeboy's in it, though, right?
Who?
Han's in it.
Oh, Alden Ehrenreich is in that movie?
No, Harrison Ford.
Oh, Harrison Ford's in it? Oh,
I'm almost positive, like he's playing the general or one of the guys.
I don't think that, I mean, like maybe they're just fucked because they're already in production for it and they have to release it, but like that ain't a core storyline for sure.
Yeah, dude, I was like, I'm not as bad as you at this point in time with the MCU, but that Echo series, I'm not even going to touch it. I don't care. I've slowly been going through the what ifs just because they're what ifs. I like the animation. I like the concept of what if. I think Star Wars should do what if. It'd be super rad. But I fully lost that, man. I can't wait for the next Marvel movie. It's like, yeah, I'll go see it week 1 or whatever. So like I said, I'm not fully canceling it like Nick did, but it just, the luster is worn off, sadly.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's because they fucking shoved it down people's throats. Like I said, it was like an oversaturation of content. And that's
we liked it when it was good. You know, when we were phase 1, 2, and 3 and we were getting 2 or 3 movies a year, we're like, yeah. But now that it's not had a cohesive, clear villain or arc or really even connecting them through stingers, we are kind of like, who cares?
Yeah,
dude, they didn't even announce that the Marvels came out on Disney Plus last week. Like there was nothing, not even a tweet.
Yeah, I did see that they just like skipped that announcement. But like I think what it really was is that like you could call them phase 1, 2, 3, whatever. Like that was like from when Iron Man came out to when Endgame came out, that was all one story. You could put it in phases if you want to. It's not. That was one story that was told all the way through. Yeah. So and then like when you end there, they just didn't have anything ready to like pick up and have another cohesive story. So which is trash.
Insane. Like you had all that fan gratitude build up. I mean, they could have shit in our mouths and we've been like, yeah, Iron Man's death.
I just don't think that like large scale movie producers, like, I mean, well, like Disney in particular with Marvel, I don't think that they understand the value of not having content out, like not like literally having a break. Like,
it's okay to wait.
We just wrapped up, 15 years of storytelling around that with Endgame. So we're going to take a breather and then we're going to let anticipation build for the next thing to come out. And they really didn't do that. Like they didn't allow enough downtime between Endgame and the trash to really allow people to
it's odd excited. What's happened there. You gotta wonder if Feige's just over it or doesn't give as much shit, or because of all the success and fame and power he has now. And sometimes that works a human over, and they may not try as hard next time. So who knows? Yeah, I think we have a Spider-Verse movie coming out this week. I might go see it just because Dakota Johnson is smoking.
That is trash.
Oh, of course it's going to be trash. But
anything that Sony does that's Marvel, that's by themselves is garbage.
Hey man, when you pay for AMC stubs or whatever, you got to get your movies in every week. So
go see Lisa Frankenstein. If you don't go see that Madam Web trash, go see Lisa Frankenstein. That movie is fucking hilarious. And it's Zelda Williams, which is Robin Williams' daughter. It's her directorial debut. It's super funny. It's an hour and 40, and it was well worth going see. So if you're going to go waste, if you have the movie pass already and you're not wasting money on it, definitely go see Lisa Frankenstein.
Yeah, I want to see that one with Emma Stone. Is it Emma Stone?
Oh, that's like Peculiar Ones or something like that.
No, where she's kind of like a Frankenstein. Like she's a robot that gets made.
I can't. It's like Peculiar Poor Things.
Yeah. Either way, it's like an Oscar darling. So I'm sure it's all right. All right, I'll take you up on that. If we do Madam Web, it's because the kid wants to go. You gotta remember sometimes, you gotta entertain the little people. But yeah, listening to Stern today and hearing about what she wore on Seth Meyers, it apparently is like a see-through jumpsuit. And go Dakota. Thank you. The other thing.
What else was she? I don't like. Was she in like something else?
She was like getting beat. But she's also the product of Melanie Griffith and Don Johnson. So she's like Hollywood nepo baby.
Oh, so she's just been in the industry forever.
Yeah. But she did. I don't know, man. She's not like a traditional. Wow, that girl is hot. But she just oozes this aura of yeah. You know what I mean? Like yeah. The other thing, and this kind of ties us back to the Super Bowl and Nick wanting to see the Nickelodeon broadcast, but Howard featured some of it and then he did a bit on it. But apparently there's a character called Sandy Cheeks.
Yeah, that's the little squirrel from SpongeBob.
So Howard does a bit where, he puts on a voice mod so he sounds like a cartoon character. He's like, oh, because they were explaining football rules and plays to kids. And he's like, hey, Sandy Cheeks here. After the game, Travis Kelce is going to put his penis inside Taylor Swift. And it's like, oh man, that's why I love that guy. It was it was so perfect. But yeah, I know everyone. He's an awful human because of what he did like 20 or 30 years ago with strippers. So we don't bring his name up too much on the show because I know it triggers people. All right. This Empire thing, dude, I know you weren't probably keyed into it.
Yeah,
I got to set it up for you because it's hilarious. Like it's a microcosm of how certain humans act in general. It's not necessarily Star Wars, fan sites, news sites, YouTube channels, or whatever. But last week, Empire, and kudos to Empire social media, like bravo. killed it. You probably are going to get death threats from some of the Star Wars nuts, but you killed it. You did your job. So what happened, Nick? I think it was last Thursday. They put out a tweet, space background backdrop, stars, with the Star Wars credits blue, right? So, you got that blue Star Wars look, and it just said, "Hello there, ... Okay? And then in the caption, it's like, "Big news coming, 4 p.m. Friday." So I look at this and I go, oh, interesting. I'll definitely look at socials around 4 to see what it's about, but I can tell you right now, it's not going to be anything major, because let's think this through, everyone. Because Nick, everyone saw this tweet and they're, Star Wars Theory, he's on YouTube. It's official. Kenobi 2 coming. We're going to hear it tomorrow. Disney did it. Kenobi 2. It's official. Look, Empire. Hello there. Eckert's Ladder, another one. Oh my God, I can't wait. We're getting Kenobi, or we're getting a movie announced. And I'm sitting here Thursday going, am I getting stupid? Am I missing something here? But when has any major studio gone to Empire to break news like that?
No, where they go to break news for Disney. It's Entertainment Weekly every fucking time.
Or their own social networks, or StarWars.com. I mean, Lucasfilm, Disney, they are not going to give Kenobi Season 2 greenlit to Empire to help them launch their next monthly magazine. So what really cracked me up, Nick, I'm seeing all this Thursday, and I'm holding true. I'm like, this is going to be a nothing. It's going to be like some special magazine cover or some shit like this. Everyone's still like, oh man, it's almost, what are we going to get? Kenobi, next movie? And they're canceling the sequel trilogy. It's just like, oh man, they are running with this. And then obviously Friday comes and then you get the reveal, and it's literally 3 special covers to honor the Star Wars prequels, a 25th anniversary of TPM to honor the prequels. So yes, that is cool. We're looking at one of the covers right now, Nick, and I'm not gonna lie, it is fucking rad. I mean, it's like a Where's Waldo of the prequel era. It's done in that style. It almost looks like my room as a kid throwing all my action figures into a pile. It's great art. It really is. It's a fantastic cover. I love it. I would hang it on my wall. Hell, even the other covers you can buy in store that aren't for subscribers, they look great too. 25 years of the Star Wars prequels, all sorts of new interviews. Yes, great content, but not what everyone was expecting. And then the fallout, like I said, man, is like, Disney really fucked this up. I can't believe this crap. Look at this. Lucasfilm is, it's like, in what they're doing, and hopefully everyone can see this. And as I started this is a microcosm of how humans act these days. It's where they will build up this fake bullshit scenario in their head based on 2 words, run with it as if they've got the scoop. It's real. This is happening. Yeah. Rah, rah, rah. Come to my channel. Blah, blah, blah. Clickbait. And then when it doesn't pan out because they're stupid, they don't blame themselves for being idiots. Right, Nick? Who do they blame? Oh, fucking Disney. Way to go, Lucasfilm. You failed. You suck. Like Lucasfilm had anything to do with Empire's tweet on Thursday.
Yeah, it's like they weren't affiliated with that at all. That you got baited hard and you fell for it. Yeah, I don't know.
I just, it's like, come on, people. Can we like, let's get things back to reality. Star Wars time show. If I'm not putting something out, there you go. Then it's probably not that big of a deal. Hell, these days I barely post anything to StarWarsTime.net just because I've gotten really fucking lazy. I mean, look, we're looking at other people's content. We would never do this. But when I take time to post something like the Mandalorian and Grogu post, that's because I know it's real. I've researched it. I've looked beyond one source. Okay? So, ha to all you, not you all idiot fans, but all you idiot creators and Star Wars influencers out there that thought you sniffed something out based on an Empire tweet. Hello there. You know what? Get over yourselves and learn how to read media. It was so clear that this was going to be a nothing. And I don't want to discount it because, listen, I might pick this up because I do think it probably has some great interviews with Hayden, Natalie, Ewan, Liam, Sam, Ian. I mean, it'll be a nice little thing for your collection if you're a Star Wars fan, but it's like, Jesus. And the reaction and the blaming everyone else. Oh, fuck you, Disney. You're the one that made me, do this big flashing lights clickbait stream. It had nothing to do with me and just trying to get my audience and scratch my narcissism. No, it's your fault. Fuck those people. All right? Fuck them. Okay? And if we fuck something up, we'll be the first people to tell you. Okay? Any leak I put out there didn't hit. What I do? I get on here and I smack myself. All right? But yeah, look at these covers are fantastic. I think I would go with the dark side cover over the light side if I were going in store, Nick. And if I know a subscriber and they want to send me the animated cover, go for it. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably not going to buy a magazine, but I'll see. Maybe.
Carter nails it here. People are losing their critical thinking skills and are hooked on the dopamine highs and lows of social media. That's 100%. I teach young adults for a living, and it's so clear that these young generations are just like, a phone told me, so it's good. Phone say yes, phone say no. It's like, fuck people. Come on, it's scary. It's scary. All right. Yeah, that's right, Bat. That's right. Yeah, well, Bat, we know you're a normal person, but we're running out of those normal people. Oh, also got to shine a little spotlight on the Hayden cover, Nick. I don't know if you saw this one, but paid great homage to the Jake Lloyd poster from TPM.
I did see that image.
Okay, yeah, so you know the one I'm talking about. But for those of you on the radio, it's a fantastic shot of Hayden. He's looking sexy as hell. All black, kind of like a black trench coat, black shirt, black turtleneck. Very Vader-esque. And you got the Vader shadow behind him. It's just a really cool shot. And I think the last thing from that reveal before we get into the Sammy J and the Ian articles, because they kind of threw some funny things out there that we can discuss real quick before Bad Batch time. But this one, I know, this one has me excited. I am excited for this. I know Nick's going to boycott it, but I've been unabashedly clear that The Phantom Menace is my favorite prequel movie. It still is. I love it, even though Attack of the Clones, every time I watch it, is getting better and better. But, Nick, to celebrate the 25th anniversary of the beginning, the genesis of the Star Wars prequels, Lucasfilm and Disney are re-releasing The Phantom Menace in theaters beginning May 3rd. So it's going to be a May 4th kind of gift for everybody, May the 4th, if you will. And I kind of dig it. I don't think they're doing anything special with it. I saw TPM years ago when they did, George was considering doing 3D remakes of the prequels. He stopped after TPM, but I at least went and checked that out. I got my Darth Maul 3D glasses. Thank you. But I'm definitely going to go check this out. Maybe take the kid, maybe another buddy and his daughter they're kind of getting into Star Wars. But I am excited to return to theaters to go watch TPM.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go see it too. I may convince Taylor to go with me because she's seen all the movies except the prequels. So I think that giving her the opportunity to see them in theaters would be a more interesting way than just like sitting at home and watching them. So yeah, I mean, if they do something similar to what Lord of the Rings did, because what Lord of the Rings did was when it was 20 years for Fellowship, they just kind of did the whole trilogy. They were like 20 years for Fellowship, we're going to re-release the whole trilogy in theaters, and that's what we did. We got to see all three of them in the theater, so I thought that was cool. But it seems like they're not going to do that with Star Wars. So we'll go see TPM, and then we'll wait until they do the release for AOTC, and then for ROTS, and we'll see those in theaters too.
Oh, I can't wait for Attack of the Clones. I put out I did one of our little clips, and I'd love for people to start checking these out because I am putting a little more effort into them. It seems to be paying off on YouTube, but nowhere else. So I'll keep doing it. Why not? I kind of like it, a little therapeutic, but it's our conversation on the Geonosian arena. And your comment's the best. It just goes under the radar, but you're like, yeah, it's a pretty flashing light scene.
I mean, that's all.
I love it. Nick, he always tries to stay positive, but it's like you can tell he's gritting his teeth through a smile. Like, dude, everything you're saying is complete bullshit. But yes, it has pretty lights and wavy swords. So yeah. All right. Yeah. Hey, Ben. Good to see you here, buddy. So yeah, that's coming May 3rd. More than likely, that means you probably can get May 2nd, Thursday night tickets. That's probably what I'll shoot for. But it looks like May the 4th must be a Saturday this year. So
that's nice.
Hey, it's day drinking May the 4th in 2024. Anyone with me? Yeah, let's do it. I'll just sit here on YouTube all day drinking. You can tune in and see my various stages of drunkenness. You know, if I make it all day, I'll probably just be my head laying on the table with YouTube having a timeout message at the top. So there you go, TPM, good looking post. I kind of dig that poster.
It's definitely a good poster.
Maul pulls you in. You got the Jedi bros there. Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, so I saw some of you already popping off about the Sam Jackson stuff in the live stream chat, which is awesome. If you would like to join our live streams, don't forget they're moving to Wednesdays, 5 p. East, youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show. Check us out. All right. So, Empire, obviously, they're trying to sell some issues, Nick. So they've been giving us little teases online from some of the interviews contained within the actual words and shit. And one of the interviews is going to be with Samuel L., Mr. Jackson here, the actor behind probably my least favorite Jedi, Mace Windu. And as anyone that has acted in Star Wars, they're always asked about their time in Star Wars, and they're always kind of asked to like, hey, would you want to keep doing it? And it's like, that's the dumbest fucking question. Hey, you want to keep making millions of dollars and dress like a Jedi and get lightsabers? Yeah, I think so. Even Natalie Portman, Nick, is saying, yeah, fuck, I'll do this shit. Why not?
I mean, I think a lot of that is because of the tonal shift around. I mean, I will say this. Sam Jackson's always been like, I'm ready to go again from the day he finished filming Rots till now. So he has stayed very consistent. I think all of these other people are starting to be like, oh yeah, I'll do it too, because now the narrative around the prequels has shifted pretty heavily. You're spot on.
I think for Hayden 100%. I believe in this Empire magazine it goes into. He's like, my Star Wars journey is a little different than everyone else's because it is a little chaotic there to start, and it kind of ruined my career.
Yeah.
So, but also you got to think, man, and this is one of your favorite things to talk about, but sadly, cinema is dying, and I hate to fucking say it because I can't imagine a world where Matt can't go to a fucking movie theater and see a movie. But I think actors have figured it out. They're seeing a shift to streaming, going back to TV. Hell, I mean, a lot of big actors do commercials now. That would have never happened 10, 15 years ago. I mean, that was considered like, oh, your career's almost over, so go hack American Express. So it could also just be, hey, fuck, wherever there's work, I'm taking it these days. I don't care if it's going back to Star Wars where I was made to look like I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, I think that like the commercial scene existed for celebrities, but specifically in like countries like Korea and like South Korea and Japan, like they would get paid fucking huge amounts of money to make commercials over there. But yeah, I mean, I think now it's more around like they're not like one actor salaries, have been renegotiated with the actor strike and stuff like that. So issues around like pay specifically for like, non-huge stars have been kind of addressed a bit, but also like actors realize that like they are the brand now, and whatever they do is what dictates, like their sphere and things that come their way. Like previously you could get like blackballed in Hollywood. Like it was a lot easier for an actor to like pop up somewhere and then disappear and you not know what the fuck happened. Now actors realize like all I got to do if somebody really fucks me over, all I got to do is make a post about it on social media and people will see it. Like it's a lot easier for them to like control their own narrative and be in charge, like be in control of what people
or light their own narrative on fire.
They can also do that for sure. They can do that for sure. But like, that's why like people are way more willing to like do stuff that they wouldn't do before. Like they're way more willing to be in commercials. They're way more willing to like revisit stuff that they didn't want to prior. And they realize that like, now somebody like Harvey Weinstein can't fuck me over because like I have my own platform.
That's a good point.
So,
good point. See, that's why we went to the smart kid here.
Mm-hmm.
He always had, but anyways, back to Sam Jackson here. We're already getting on a tangent, and we gotta keep moving. We got Bad Batch to get to. So you know, like I said, he's talking to Empire, and they're asking him questions, and Sam just starts yelling out, "He's not dead!" It's like, okay. And then they're like, well, what did you want Mace Windu to do in a Disney Plus series? And he said, everything. Yes. So listen, as Nick said, I mean, he's been stumping this for years. I could fully buy into Mace surviving. I mean, he did just get an appendage chopped off, a little bit of lightning. We know that technically couldn't kill a Jedi. He might be able to float himself down there and have a soft landing. So, I mean, if Palpatine can return, Mace can sure as fuck return. Would you want it? When would you want it set? And is Sam already aged out of playing a return Mace Windu?
I mean, honestly, just fucking do it. Honestly, because like at this point, everybody who's died in Star Wars has come back. That matters. Like it really. Like,
the death means nothing. I'm just.
Yeah.
Okay, so you want it. When do you want it? Do you want it soon after, or do you want it like into the Mandoverse timeline? He's just been hiding out.
No, give it to me in the same timeline as Kenobi. Like, give me that same timeline. You get to then see the juxtaposed position that Kenobi was in versus Mace Windu. See how they were taking, the fall of the Jedi Order differently. What was Mace doing versus what was Kenobi doing? You have an opportunity there for them to fucking meet up. Like, just set it in that same timeline. And I don't know. I mean, like, the storyline wise, who the fuck knows, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say. So, what's Mace's excuse for doing nothing? Like, he literally does nothing. At least Yoda and Obi-Wan, after 18, 19 years, they finally did something.
Yeah, I mean, but here's the thing. Like, we can, at this point, with all the bullshit that they've added around that time period, like, Mace Windu could literally be out there killing stormtroopers left and right, and like, it's believable. It's like, yeah, sure, I guess so.
Hey, why not?
Like, he could be out there, like, truly just as a rogue agent, like a Ronin style.
It would make the character more interesting and likable, I think. Because listen, man. Do you like Mace Windu, like live action Mace Windu, or even animated Mace Windu?
I mean, I thought that he gave such a different dynamic to every other Jedi. Yeah. I thought that like the way that he played that character, or like, I don't know if it was the way that he chose to play it or if it was the way that George wrote it, but like it was built in a way where it's like, okay, like all of the Jedi that other than Mace Windu are relatively level-headed, and this dude is kind of crazy.
He's got strong opinions. There's no doubt about it. I mean, he definitely will tell you what he's thinking. I don't know. He's such a dickhead. And that carries over into Tales of the Jedi. You get to see how big of a shithead he is to Dooku. I mean, you could argue that Mace Windu is responsible for both Count Dooku and Anakin turning to the dark side and destroying his order.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't even think you have to argue it. I think he's 90% responsible.
Yeah. I mean, I do think that that could be an interesting storyline to follow, like it would be cool to see like him grapple with like all of the things that he did during his tenure as a Grand Master of the Jedi Order, while also like what I think would be really cool for that character is something like almost like a character like the Ghost of Tsushima lead, where he's making like he has
Lord
made
Jin
a name.
Sakai.
Yeah, but like to his enemies, he's just known as the Ghost. Like they don't know who he. I mean, like
So I think what you're spitting here, and tell me if I'm wrong. It would essentially he's going to handle it the opposite of Kenobi, where Kenobi kind of shut himself off from the Force and just cried in a cave for 10 years.
Yeah,
Mace is almost embracing his pain and hate for what happened to him. But not going full dark side.
Not going full dark side, like truly taking out his, well, like whatever is going on in his head, his hate for what he has become, his, you know, his disappointment in himself for how he failed the Order, and like taking it out in that, like, you know, precision strike style of way against the Empire.
Yeah, I like that.
And then it's like you don't. And then you keep the character protected from being like, oh, well, why didn't anybody know about him? Because he's built into the story, he is protecting his own identity.
Yeah, he's off his right. You know, he's gone off the Jedi beaten path a little bit. So.
Yeah. So I think that there is a cool opportunity for that. And I think that like there are people that would watch that series purely for Sam Jackson. Like they're not Star Wars fans. Like these people are like, oh yeah, I remember. Like, I'll watch that for sure. I think it has a high watchability, like probability, because people who don't really care about Star Wars outside of the movies would be like, fuck, Sam Jackson's in it. Yeah, I'll watch it. And I think that there's a good story to be told. Like if you just accept the fact that this character is probably not dead, which just makes sense narratively. There's been people who have come back alive or like not died from way worse than what happened to him.
Yeah, getting chopped in half, just to name one.
Yeah, chopped in half, exploded in a fucking Death Star explosion, like thrown, like truly what happened to him is no worse than what happened to Ben in Tross. Like he gets thrown down down a huge fucking thing too.
Yeah, and
like,
we saw Luke eat lightning for a minute or two straight, so we know the lightning blast didn't kill him.
Yeah, so like the fact that we're just like, you know, we're just supposed to believe now that everybody else has come back alive that Mace Windu's dead just makes no sense. So just fucking bring him back, let him do a series.
No, I'm with you. And listen, I love Sam Jackson. Like none of my negative Mace stuff is because of Sam. He's a dickhead Jedi, but maybe that's why he you know, a lot of people are drawn to him. He is so different. Like Nick said, he does not act like anyway, he doesn't even act like the Chosen. I mean, you could expect the Chosen One to be a little dicky. He didn't even act like that. I mean, Mace is Mace, but I think he made a lot of bad choices in his time on the council and to get to the council. You remember, he essentially threw Dooku under the bus to take the council seat. So.
I mean, I think that's like the value of it is really seeing these Jedi who survived and were in prominent positions like Obi-Wan Kenobi and like Mace Windu and Yoda, like really see their moments of reflection to like really truly understand, like, do they understand what went wrong? Like, do they understand how this all happened? And like see them process, you know, how an order that stood for thousands of years leading up to it fell. So, I mean, you could call it easily, like, you know, and I think that there would be value in that.
Well, I mean, dude, think about it. Think about how he'd be feeling the moment he wakes up on the streets of Coruscant. I would be like, shit, if I would have just listened to Anakin once.
Yeah.
I just had to listen to him that one time before we left. My friends got killed, and then I got betrayed and shot out a freaking window.
Yeah, dude, I think that like as much as it's been memed over the years because he's always talked about, it's like he's not dead, bring him back. Like I do think that there's a good story to tell with that character.
And you know how it ends, Nick? Vader fucking kills him. No, Vader
he gets his other hand chopped off.
No, I want Anakin to take him out. Like, oh, hey, you little bitch.
No, yeah, I do think that would be
should have took him to trial. Now you die.
And like that fits with the narrative of what Vader was doing during that time period too. Vader was hunting down the remaining Jedi after Order 66.
You talked me into it. Green light it. Send the script over tonight. Let's go.
Like that's, you know, like we're in an era now where the people who are most vocal in the Star Wars fandom or Star Wars, whatever you want to call it, are the prequel people.
Yeah.
Like it's people like Jared and Connor and you know, like all of the younger people who grew up with the sequel or with the prequels as their favorite Star Wars content. So like, hey, like if that's who your fan base is and that's where a majority of your watch hours are sitting, then make something that will please them. Like, you know, and I think that there's a good story to be told. So do it. Fucking make it happen.
All right, it's done. Nick just put it out there. It's been spoken. So expect the Mace Star Wars story, Mace Windu, 2027. Heard it here first. Yeah, Bat. Who's the master now? That's right. I'm telling you,
dude,
Vader versus Mace would be fantastic.
It would be sick as fuck. And it would also be a really cool juxtaposition between Vader, who is obviously not like he is when, you know, or not like he was when everything went down in the office and Mace gets thrown out, and neither is Mace. Mace is also adjusting to life without a hand and without like just, you know, like the comparisons between those two.
I would love to see that. That would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, I wasn't good enough to be a master then. What about now? Hopper.
Yeah. I think that would be sick.
All right. Well, hey, let's just keep those positive vibes going. You never know. If Bob Iger is feeling generous, I'm sure he'll cut a check to Sammy Jackson. All right, one more before we get into our Bad Batch special topic. Remember, we're going to go through our Bad Batch Season 3 once. Okay, what do we want to happen? And then our predictions, what do we think's going to happen? But real quick, I got a funny quote here from Ian where he pretty much confirms, like, I know they say he defends Palpatine's return here, but if you actually read his quotes, he's like, hey, whatever. It's a fucking job. It's a paycheck. But Ian is also in this Empire issue. They're talking to him, and They obviously bring up the somehow Palpatine's returned. And, you know, he says, a lot of people said it was ridiculous. Right here, hand up. At least I do now. When we saw him in 2019 in Chicago in that arena, it was like, oh, cool, yeah. Then you're like, no. But then he goes on to say, of course, he was dead at the end of Return of the Jedi. And frankly, I think George thought he'd killed me too. But JJ thought it would be a good idea. I wasn't going to argue with him. That's basically saying like, hey, dude, this is kind of stupid, but you're giving me a job and cool. And then he kind of comes down here and talks about it. He's like, listen, you know, I felt that Palpatine always had a plan B, probably a plan C, D, E, and F as well. And he was an expert in cloning. So, and that's really all he goes on to say. I mean, he does kind of talk about Palpatine fucking, believe it or not, because they kind of bring up his do it term. And he goes, please don't pursue that line too vigorously. But yes, he does have sex. It's a horrible idea to think of Palpatine having sex in any shape or form. But then, of course, perhaps he didn't. And, you know, he goes in and kind of makes fun of midichlorians and stuff like that. But it's just like, you can tell Ian's just along for the ride, you know, kind of like Harrison Ford, doesn't really want to know any of the in-universe bullshit, isn't going to question the choices of the creators. Just like, hey, man, just tell me where you need me to go. How many do-its do you need? How many cackles do you need? I'm there. Yeah,
I mean, look, if you're an actor that has a role like Ian has at his disposal, like, of course you're going to take advantage of it. Like, and I don't mean that in a bad way. Like, I don't mean that he's like taking advantage of Disney or the fan base or anything like that. But like, when you're given the opportunity to play an iconic character that you built again, like, why would you say no?
Yeah, I don't blame anything on Ian at all.
Yeah, no, not at all. Like, you know,
it's just funny to hear him thinking about his character having sex. It's like, dude, what?
I mean, we know he did.
Well, like, technically, he didn't, unless maybe when he was Sheev, he might have been knocking some boots when he was under Plagueis's tutelage. But according to canon, Rey is the progeny of a failed strand cast of Sheev that had sex with Rey's mom, who I think is a real person.
Yeah, but maybe this wasn't a storyline, maybe this was just us speculating, but didn't he, like, wasn't there speculation that he had a relationship with one of his, like, who was it? The blue, like, the it was one of the people who was like always in his chambers.
You think he's jerking off Masamita in the Senate chambers?
No, it was like it was the woman that was always with him, that bald, like
Sly.
Yeah,
Sly Moore.
Yeah, I thought that they had like a relationship, or maybe that wasn't canon.
In the comics, he just is fucking with her. And actually, by the way, check out our comic recaps up on youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show. But Nick, she's actually come back into the fold, trying to convince Vader to join I forget what it's called. It's like it's not the Hidden Empire, Secret Empire, but there's a faction of the Empire that is now, without Crimson Dawn's help, looking to overthrow Palpatine. So in between the period of Empire to Jedi, essentially the entire galaxy wanted to get rid of Palpatine, even his own people.
I mean, dude, I know that like George Lucas has come out and said that Star Wars isn't an allegory for like real life wars or anything like that, but like that's exactly what happened in Nazi Germany. Like they're getting towards the end, and people were like, let's just fucking kill this Hitler dude and see if we can skirt our way out of this shit.
Yeah. He's getting a little crazy, doing some weird shit, and talking about cloning and stuff. It's time to end this pony ride here. So I don't know. It's just like whatever. I mean, God bless Ian McDiarmid. He is our emperor. He clearly thinks about Sheev boning. Like Bat said, I mean, Bat does make a good point. Oh, come on. How many ugly ass powerful men have women draped all over them?
I mean, like he was definitely,
younger years. But I think once he was enacting his plan as a senator, that was it. He had no time for puss after that.
Maybe
he's like, all right, it's time. I see the chosen one has made it to my planet. I tricked Padme here to make me Supreme Chancellor. It's time to focus. I'm going to think with Sheev's big head now instead of the little guy. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. It's time to get into this week's special topic. Special topics will be taking a break until May as we spend the next few months here breaking down and discussing current episodes of The Bad Batch. But it's been fun. We've got all sorts of notes to keep these going once The Bad Batch is over. I actually want to do kind of an end cap to our top live action. I'm going to make us pick our top 5 overall. We've got the animated series to start talking about, some top moments there. But because The Bad Batch is nigh, all right, week away, less than a week away at this point in time. It does kind of suck that they didn't follow the Ahsoka cadence. I will never understand who's making decisions over at Disney Plus. It really seemed like the community loved the 9 o'clock East drops of Ahsoka and allowed us all to kind of get around and talk about it and just further spread the word about it. But no, let's go back to Wednesdays 3 a.m. East, because that's cool. But as we do, whenever we get a new Star Wars show, if you're new here, the SWTS, we put our heads together and we come up with wants. Okay, what do we want to see? What do we hope to see? Kind of the fan type of shit, headcanon. And then predictions, what we think will actually happen. So we're going to start with the wants here. We got about 13. We'll try to keep the pace going. But chime in, obviously, in the live stream. If you're not here, you can always join when we do the shows Wednesdays, 5 p. East, youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show. All right, Nick, so here we go. Bad Batch, S3 wants. Obviously, none of these are ranked. I don't even know if there's an order. I probably just went on the order of our little stupid bullet list. So the first one I got here, and we kind of talked about this a week or two ago, but I want an Omega and Boba meetup interaction somehow. All right.
Yeah.
I want it. Why create the backstory for this character? Why make such a big deal that she's the only other unaltered clone in the galaxy? Her name's Omega. He was the Alpha. It has written itself at this point.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about this a little bit last week. I do think that like the opportunity is there. And like I said, on the last show, is like the thing that I struggle with is like, how do you bring him in a way that kind of makes sense, know? And that's the only part that I'm struggling with. We've talked through different ways they could do it, like maybe they just go out there and they're like, hey, look, we'll fucking hire bounty hunters to take this place down too. And he's one of them. Like, But yeah, I mean, obviously with these two characters being linked by their shared heritage as unaltered clones, it would make a ton of sense. If they don't do it here, then the decision then comes in, like, is this where Omega's story ends? Does she not have another like life after Bad Batch, or do they decide to bring her back into the Mandoverse at some point? But yeah, I mean, I think a meeting between these two characters would be really cool if they can execute it well.
Yeah, I'm with you. And sorry, we'll spend a bit more in the predictions because I finally just ran with one. We'll kind of see what you think. It's kind of in line with what you're talking about, but a little more maybe just casual passing. You know what I mean? Not a specific poignant moment of like, hi, I'm Boba. Hi, I'm Omega. All right, so sticking with the once. Next one we have here. We all want Ahsoka to show up in some capacity. Nick and I, we would prefer it to be kind of cameo-esque. But I would like that cameo Nick to be kind of at the end. She shows up and at least saves Rex. I would love if it was Rex, Gregor, and Wolf, the three old guys she leads the Star Wars Rebels to in that series. But if we are going to get an Ahsoka and it's not just going to be a hollow chat with Rex, it'd be awesome to see her kind of come in and pick up at least Rex after all the shit has kind of played out. Clone Force 99's probably dead. Rex is feeling bad. Maybe Rex is even almost going to die and she shows up and here we go. I got you, buddy. I got you.
I think that's a really good opportunity there for sure. I think that Ahsoka, to me, like, Ahsoka has to be involved in this in some way. It would be so weird if she wasn't. And I think that, you know, if she isn't a part of the main strike group, then having her be there and, like, you know, essentially, you know, save Rex.
Like a Millennium Falcon trench run save. Last second, okay, I got you, boys. Let's get the hell out of here. Like, she's not going to actually accomplish the mission. She's just going to pick up the pieces.
Yeah, no, I do think that there is some value in that for sure. So yeah.
Now, sure. I would really, like I said, it would be great if it was Rex, Gregor, and Wolf, because we know they ultimately link up and end up living together as old clone bros on some desert planet fishing for something using old Clone War walkers. So that would be neat. All right,
yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
Next one here, and this is kind of going into some of the things we saw in the trailer, some of the predictions we've already made. But as a want, Nick, I do want Cody to have a heel turn. Not because I hate the character. I just think it would be one hell of an out for this named clone. A clone, really one of the oldest named clones. I believe he's the only named clone we got in the live action Star Wars prequels.
Yeah, I was going to say, in the prequels,
there's no
Commander
Rex
Cody
in the
was
prequels.
He was the only one that was called out by name. Like, yeah, and that was the only way that we knew that like some clones had names.
Exactly.
So, I mean, I think that the last time, like, you know, having him go full bad would be a really cool way to end that story for him.
But obviously not his choice, because we know he made the conscious decision to walk away. And I'm hoping, I'm not hoping for him because that would be awful, but I'm hoping for fans and good narrative that as he was kind of like, hey, Empire, I'm done, they just rounded him up. They're like, no, you're not. And they kind of turn him into a true believer. And he ultimately, you know, has this heel turn and is going to die because of it. But fans, I think, would be like, oh, no, not Cody. Don't do it, Cody. Maybe see him fight it a little bit. And then, I don't know, maybe he blows his brains out. Obviously, that wouldn't happen. But I would like to see Cody have a heel turn, obviously not of his own volition. It would be a forced heel turn. Yeah,
no, I agree with that. I think it would be cool. I mean, have we really had any other named clones that like went out bad? I mean, that were like, that like stayed, because I mean, all the ones that we listed now obviously have turned and are like broke their conditioning or programming and stuff.
Right. And by season 3, friends, I don't even think the Empire's dealing with clones anymore. They're either rounding them up and shipping them off somewhere like a concentration camp or to Tantus. Like I'm pretty sure that happened at the end of season 2. Like the TKs are now the main units, and you got some of the Republic commandos, but for the most part, the regs, they're being decommissioned in massive numbers. It would be a nice end for Cody, a meaningful end, more than just he walks off into the sunset and we never know.
Yeah. I do think it would be beneficial to do that, and it would also be like, a very tough moment for any of the clones that are involved in his.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, not only would it be impactful for us as fans, but in universe, they're gonna be like, no, I mean, damn it, Cody. Like, they got Cody. So
yeah.
All right. Next one here, Nick. Not much to say outside of Tech, please stay dead, even though you probably won't. But as a want, again, this is a want. I want Tech to be dead and stay dead. Yeah.
I mean, I am 100% behind that. If he comes back alive, I'm going to be so fucking disappointed. Like, it's just, I don't know. If he comes back alive, I truly don't know why they keep doing this. Like, I don't know what value they see in bringing back characters who are supposed to be dead. But if they do it with Tech, it's almost a series killer. It's like, why would you do that? Especially considering
they'll make him that true believer or something dumb like that, because they're like, oh, it's going to be shock value. Where I still believe Cody would be better that way, because we don't know his fate. Tech had a fate decided.
Yeah, like if he's the true believer, then like just take a break on cartoons. like seriously, because the writing is becoming bad. Like if that's the choice that you make,
die.
Yeah, like if that's the choice that you make to bring back a character who died sacrificing himself for his brothers in a way that is like, oh, now he's a true believer clone, you've truly missed the point of death in Star Wars. Like they really do need to just fucking reassess how they handle it.
They'd be going for like a second cheap pop. Not that his initial death was a cheap pop. It was a great pop. But bringing him back, that would be cheap. It would be a cheap pop for people like, oh, yeah, hey, that's got to be Tech. Whenever everyone is saying, oh, that's got to be Tech, if it ends up being Tech, Nick is right. It's just bad writing then. Like, it's stupid. Okay, so please, Tech, stay dead as one of our Bad Batch Season 3 wants. Next one here. Here's our boy. We're just talking about him. But Nick, I want it made clear. I want a direct link to Palpatine's cloning stuff in Bad Batch to what we've learned about it in the Mandoverse and then the sequel trilogy. Even if it's like dropping a Project Necromancer, an Exegol mention, I want the link established. Okay, they really haven't. We've all kind of inferred like, oh yeah, they're doing cloning shit here. Probably one day Jedi cloning, but at least just cloning now. Like, let's get into it then. Let's start talking about it. Why are we doing it? What's it being done for? What's the end game? Okay, so I want more of a link to what's happening now with Palp and the cloning stuff to all the bullshit that popped up in the Mandoverse and the sequel trilogy.
Yeah, I do think that they need to address it in some way, shape, or form. Like, they really need to start drawing those connections like you were mentioning, because, ultimately that's the big thing that that they're going to have to try to patch up in this lead up to the sequel trilogy. Like, it was the thing that everybody hated the most. And now, like, your job as a Star Wars writer, if you are writing in a storyline that is, connected to it, is to like try to draw some parallels and connections to it and make it make sense.
All right, yeah, just it doesn't have to be like a full episode, but just something. Maybe if an Easter egg, something on the screen in the background says Exegol or S period, N period, O period, K period, E period.
Yeah,
I don't know, like, because at this point we all got to remember they're not messing with, or at least we don't think they are, because they might not have specimens, although with Vader going out and killing them all, maybe they do have some specimens, but they're dead. Maybe their tissue doesn't work. But what I'm talking about is the force infusion of clones. Yeah, remember, the Empire doesn't even know how to clone yet. That's why they needed Nala Se, and that's why they brought in Omega to force Nala to work for them, because because they're so fucking stupid and literally nuked Kamino and killed anyone that knew anything. They don't know how to clone like the Kaminoans did. They don't.
Yeah.
Like they can't even make like a legit clone, a strand. So who knows if they're even dealing with the Force stuff? That technically isn't till Luke's hand, at least in the comics, and then Grogu in the Mandoverse era.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just like give us a layer, okay? All right. We talked about this last week in our special topic of characters that need to make their debut. And Bat will probably smile at this because I initially shot this down. But at this point in time, I would love to see Vader take out Clone Force 99. Fuck it. Who cares?
Yeah. I think in universe, it makes sense given the importance of Tantus to the overall goals of the Empire, and not even just the Empire, to the Emperor himself. Like, the Emperor would do anything that he has to protect that facility, because that is where everything related to his survival post, body death, post whatever, is hinging on. So like if he knew that anything was going down there, like he's sending the cavalry out. So I do think that just narratively it makes sense that once they figure out that something is going down at Tantus, then he would send Vader to go take care of it for sure.
Yeah, like not right away, but when he realizes like, okay, the peons aren't going to be able to handle it. I got to send this dickhead that I keep making angry and making fun of to keep him angry. I'm going to go ahead and send my most sharp tool in the toolbox. Listen, it would be a visual spectacle. It would be amazing. I don't want to see him just wipe the mat with him, but he's going to after they get maybe a shot in or two. They ain't chipping they're not chipping the face mask, but they might short out a button, take out maybe a hip controller or something like that. It would just for the visuals alone, just seeing him instantly walk in. Oh, Wrecker, your neck's broke. Oh, Hunter, you can move a little bit. All right, woo, 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 throws the lightsaber at him, something like that. It'd be like. It'd almost be like Vader swatting at bees or something. The bees might get a sting here or there, but for the most part, they're just a nuisance. Yeah,
I think that there's no other way for him to at least as of right now, we'll see how the season plays out. But who else is going to kill him? Like, who else is going to take them out in a really meaningful way?
Yeah,
unless I don't foresee that Asajj is coming back on the bad side of things, that somehow she is resurrected and now is working for the Empire. I don't see that happening. But I do think that on the table, what's on the table right now in terms of Imperial resources, the best would be to have Vader take him out. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, they might start with bounty hunters. Might roll out Scorch and some of the commandos, maybe even a few TKs, the enlistees. But after a while, they're going to be like, okay, the klaxon's going to go off. Homeboy's going to roll in, hopefully in his interceptor or his TIE Advance. Just casually get out and start, waving the sword, barely even breaking a sweat, walking, not running. No, he'd be very Vader-like. It would just be awesome. Back here, the thing with Vader, Rex, and Ahsoka, I don't think they can be together at this point in time. No. Ahsoka can't have her first sensing of Vader until Rebels, because it's documented in that. And I don't think Rex can see him at all, because I think he's kind of clueless in the who Vader is all the way up to Rebels. So I think it would be kind of neat to see Vader fighting Rex, considering their relationship, but it can't be anything deeper than just hey, you're tossed and I just knocked you out, and they drag his limp body away to safety. Rex can't have any sort of meaningful interaction with Darth Vader. It just can't happen. And same with Ahsoka. So if Ahsoka showed that, I could make, Rex is getting beat pretty bad. He doesn't, no one knows who's who. Clearly Anakin knows that it's Rex. Rex has no idea. But maybe Ahsoka scoops his carcass up and hauls him out. But I don't think Ahsoka can even be in the same room building as Vader at this point in time.
Yeah, I agree with you there for sure. I don't think if you're going to incorporate him, it can't be to like, fight Rex and Ahsoka.
I mean, she literally senses him through spaceships. Like she's on the Ghost, I believe. He's in his advanced shooting Phoenix Squadron to death. And she's like, oh, fuck. I'm feeling something that's familiar, but it ain't what I used to know. And I'm going to kind of pretend that I didn't just feel that and think who I think it is.
Yeah. So I agree with you there. I do think that the more valuable part of Vader is like putting him against the Batch, and then that way,
100%. Like
when the Batch goes out, you can't be like, oh, they went out like punks. It's like, no, they went out to the dude, and
right. No, I think, and you're right. I mean, I don't know who else can kill them outside of Palpatine, and it really kind of honor what they are. I mean, fuck the Republic Commandos. They're not Clone Force 99. Clone Force 99 was bred to be the way they are. I mean, they were literally, they're mutants. They're mutants. I mean, they were given extreme abilities that the other clones did not get. So they are these superheroes of the clones. I don't see just regular clones taking them out. I don't see TKs taking them out. Republic Commandos taking them out. It's got to be big time.
Yeah, it's got to be the big boy. It's got to be.
The only other thing, maybe a Star Destroyer shoots an orbital bombardment at their face. Okay.
All right. I mean, is that it? Is that how it goes out? Is like it gets to the point to where like the Empire's just like scuttled the ship and they just blow it up themselves.
They already tried to do it on Kamino. It didn't work. So I guess not even that can kill him, Nick. So yeah,
that's true. That's true.
It's got to be Vader or Palpatine.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So I am interested to see how the end of it goes, because I do think that there is a lot of ambiguity around there's not a lot of ambiguity around how it's going to end. Like how it's going to end is pretty straightforward, but the individual pieces of how it will end.
Getting there, it's so wide open, man. I have no idea. It really is, but hey, that's why it's exciting. And like I said, if you're real media, you've already seen the first 8 episodes, and they're all saying the same thing. It's pretty glowing. This is some deep shit. It's gonna hit you. It's dark, so I'm all for it. All right, next one here. I want Sid to get got. All right.
Yeah, I saw this on here. I thought it was pretty funny. So yeah, go hit us with it.
Yeah, it is what it's just as I have it written in our notes, Nick. I want Sid to get got. I want her to get her just desserts or whatever that saying is. I mean, she's a piece of shit. Okay? I mean, she literally is the reason why Omega is now captured. The boys lost her. She's done nothing but treat them like piss and shit the entire time they've worked together. They've done nothing but bring her riches and more power in the underworld. So I really want her to die. Just die. And I know it's not going to happen. I know the Bad Batch won't do it. But I would love for Sid to get hers in a bad way.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I do think it would be such a sweet revenge moment, or not even a revenge moment, because I don't want the Batch to kill her. I truly want it to be like one of those things where she's like caught up in a crossfire or something else happened. Like, I don't want the Batch to hunt her down and take her out, but I do want her to get her comeuppance. Whether it be she gets caught by the Rebel Alliance for aiding the Empire, or she gets something happens to her where it's you got what you deserved, but it wasn't fucking Wrecker picking her up and fucking ripping her body in half or
right.
No.
That, you're 100%. The Batch can't do it. I'm with you. I would even prefer it to just be the Empire fucks over. That's who they are. You work with the Empire, you're eventually going to get burnt at some point in time. That I would like to see that, where maybe they just come in and take over Ord Mantell or Mantell and they take her stuff and so on and so forth. But I want her to suffer because she's a scumbag.
Yeah.
All right. Well, no reason to go any deeper into that one. Next one here, we'll see where Nick goes with this, but I just kind of wrote a worthwhile resurrection of Asajj, and I guess what I'm meaning there is like, let's not just bring her back just for fun. Let's give her a narrative purpose that makes sense not only for Bad Batch, but has potential to go beyond Bad Batch. I think that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, we like had a bit of this conversation in the last episode, and it is really like, it goes back to what I was talking about with Tech. Like, if you're not going to respect people dying in the show, then like, if you're going to bring them back, then bring them back and make it good. Because here's what I don't want to happen. They bring this girl back. She's in this episode and she fucking dies again.
Yeah, no.
Like
that's what I mean. Like, I don't want this to just be a one-off.
Yeah. Like, if she dies in this episode, then like, what's the fucking point? Like, I really, like, if you're going to bring her back, which they are, it's not an if anymore. They're bringing her back. So like, have her have an impact on whatever is happening here, and then have her have an impact on something else later. I don't care if you bring her into the Mandoverse. I don't care if you bring her into whatever the next series is that you're planning that's in this time period, like whatever. But you can't take a character who was killed in fucking canon, bring her back to life to only have her die in this season. Like, I just feel like it would be such a waste.
Well, yeah, dude, they already did narrative gymnastics to resurrect her and be like, wink, wink, don't worry, we honored the whole novel in canon. So, yeah, this can't just be a one-off, like, oh, hey, fan punch, dead.
Yeah, like, I really do hope that it's not like, okay, well, we're going to bring her back for, episode 1, and then she's going to last through the whole season, and then she dies again. It's like, but what if they do that? Like, what could this character do that another character couldn't? Like, you could have easily replaced her with Quinlan Voss. Like, Quinlan Voss would have been a totally fine, like, external character to bring in who isn't already dead and would serve the same purpose. So that's all I want, is like, just do it in a way that like shows me what your plan is for her moving forward. So
yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking, and based on the actress that voices her, I think we're gonna get our wish here, Nick.
That's good.
Without saying it, but you could tell she wanted to say it. She was on some podcast, but she's like, hey, it's pretty much like, you could read between the lines. There's gonna be more Asajj beyond Bad Batch. I don't know what that means. Is it animated, or are we going to start a whole new animated series now? Who knows? But it does sound like this may not be the last foray of Asajj Ventress.
Yeah, hopefully so.
Okay. Nick, this one's very similar, but now we're talking about Omega. Same thing. I want Omega to have a worthwhile narrative future. So essentially, whatever happens to her, I want to ensure that it makes sense moving into the Star Wars timeline. Even if it's dying, it needs to be a worthwhile death that has narrative impact down the line. Or what was the point of introducing this new character, this special character, highlighted as being different? So live or die, I just want Omega's narrative to be impactful moving forward in the Star Wars lore verse.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that, because up until this point, like, the character's been fun to follow and has been like a change of pace for the group. Has
shown growth between two seasons.
And like, they've done a good job with that, but like, her future is very unclear, and it's even unclear in terms of like did they ever plan to use her beyond just this series? Because you would imagine that with a character like Omega, there's opportunity to push her into that, like to push her into something that is a little bit more long lasting. So even if it is just like maybe there's another series, maybe there's another animated series that spins off of this and she's in that or whatever, but it would be a little weird, honestly. Like, it would be a little weird that, like, you brought this character who has much more potential outside of this series and decided to end it inside of the series. Like, the Bad Batch, they don't have a future outside of the series. It's just how it is. Like, those three characters don't have anywhere that they can go after this series. Like, yeah, you could leave them alive and be like, well, they were around in Rebels times
happily
and they did
ever
this.
after.
Yeah, like you could do that, but it's like you don't really get a sense of narrative closure from that. But with Omega, there is a future for her after this show, and I really hope that they take advantage of that.
Bro, if this show ends with the circle wipe, which is a known thing for when you get a circle wipe, this story's over, we're moving to the next chapter. If it circle wipes and they're all on Pabu staring off into the sunset smiling, I'm gonna vomit. Okay?
Yeah, I mean, that'll really...
Like, I don't want Bad Batch to have a happy ending. It shouldn't have a happy ending. This is not a happy time in the Star Wars galaxy. It's the worst time.
Yeah, literally, like, there is probably no worse time in the story than it is right now. This is right after the fall of the Grand Republic. This is when
galaxy's losing its freedoms every day.
Yeah, like the vice grip is tightening in the most literal way. Like, there are literally Imperial death squads out there, like, hunting and killing survivors of Order 66. They're hunting down, like, at this point, the rebellion isn't even a thing yet, really. Like, the rebellion hasn't coalesced. So you don't even have, like, an active opposition against the Empire.
Nope.
Other than just, like, these small little cells. So it's truly the worst time in the galaxy. And if you're going to fucking put a bow on it and everybody has cookies at the end, then,
awful,
like,
dude.
Yeah, like, then what are you doing?
You know what I'm saying, though? Like, they're all like, they're playing the stupid victory celebration song from Return of the Jedi. Da, na, 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 na. And they're just looking. They're on Pabu. Wrecker's like, rah, rah, rah. He's eating something, and Hunter's just leaned back, arms crossed, smiling at Omega because, she grew again or did something important. Yeah, it'd be awful. So
yeah, dude,
I want a dark ending for sure. Bat keeps going with Omega and the Force. I don't even think that's a possibility because she is, again, an unaltered Jango Fett child. So just like Boba, she's got the same juice. The Kaminoans weren't messing with Force cloning at that point in time. So no, I don't think she has anything to do with the Force.
And it's also like, I just don't think that there's any value in making her a Force user. Like, other than the fact of everything that you just said, like, they're not even at that point.
Wheel in Mace Windu's carcass and carve that up for Force DNA if you need something at this point in time. But
yeah, I just don't think that her character would be any better or worse off if she had the Force.
Would you mind if she perished, or do you think she has to live?
I wouldn't mind, but I do think that if they kill her, it's got to be in a, like, again, it has to be in an impactful way.
Right. Like I said, it's got to impact the story moving forward. Otherwise, why did we pay attention to this character? Like, what was the point of everything? So, all right.
Yeah.
Next one here. I want the clones in general dealt with, as in, let's see why they're mostly gone by the time we get to the OT. I think we're going to get a lot of this throughout, because it seems like Rex is going to be going on missions to save clones that have either been taken out by the Empire or marooned by the Empire. But I would like some event where it's very clear to fans that, oh, that's why all of Jango's babies are gone. You know what I mean? Like, clearly they can't blow up a planet at this point in time, but I do think they really need to kind of draw a line in the sand. Like, this is when the clones were pretty much phased out of the galaxy.
Yeah. I mean, I think that they kind of started to show that,
you're right. Because weren't they like hauling some off to Tantus and just dropping them off to essentially be experimented on.
Yeah, like we had kind of seen like what their plans were for the clones. Like that got dropped a little bit in last season 2 when Rampart was literally just like fucking shooting these dudes in the head himself. Like, so I think it's been a little bit like, okay, like they're starting to get rid of them. But if we really did start seeing or see a scene or an episode in this season that's centered around like, hey, extermination of clones outside of Tantus has stepped up. Like they're just either like fully frying their chips and just like
melting
killing
the brains.
them. Yeah, like melting the brains down, whatever. Or like they're having TK, like they're taking TKs out on clone missions with them, and the TKs are killing them in the field.
To shoot them. And they probably wouldn't be able to because the TKs are just regular schlubs like you and me. So yeah, it'd be funny. Yeah, I believe you're right, because they were taking clones that have been arrested and shipping them off to Tantus, as I believe, because I think Hauser was in there. There was a rescue mission, in fact, where they, Fireball and Gregor, I believe, save Hauser and some other clones that were being shipped to Tantus. So it does seem like, the Empire was dealing with the unruly clones, those that had broke conditioning and weren't following just every order like a good soldier should. But how are we going to deal with the regular clones, the ones that are still Sir, yes, sir, or Zig Hail, I mean, as bad as saying, are we going to see like a clone holocaust of some sort? Nick said, is it as simple as a button press? Do they send them to a planet and release a toxin? I don't know. But I as I say, as a want, I do want a very clear, or at least one we can infer about the kind of end of the clone race. Yeah.
And like that would put even more, like if you did something like that prior to the end, then it puts even more emphasis on, hey, the clones that we may be able to save on Tantus may be the only clones left in existence.
Right.
Like this could be it. Like there's nobody else. Like it puts even more pressure on that situation to like, hey, we have to save these clones because they're truly like the last of their race now.
Yeah, we have to believe, Nick, that Rex, Gregor, and Wolf were the last of their kind.
Yeah, I mean, up to this point, there really is no reason for us to believe that any other clones survived beyond, that timeline.
100%. So. All right. Next one here, and we've brought up his name, and he fits because of Asajj's resurrection, but we're looking for a Quinlan Vos cameo.
Yeah. I mean, my thought on the Quinlan Vos stuff is that like if you've taken the time to resurrect,
they somehow have to be combined in a narrative, right?
Yeah, like you've taken the time to resurrect Asajj Ventress, and I know that like Ventress was a much larger part of the Star Wars animated universe than Quinlan was, but like given their connection, especially in canon stories that have been told, Dark Disciple book. Like
they were lovers, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, like if she comes back, like I would really want to see him as well. Like if he comes and assists the batch, or if he like somehow senses in the Force that her spark has been reignited, then I think that there's value in having him.
Maybe
there as
he's the one that helps.
Yeah, maybe he's the one who figures out how to fucking resurrect her. Like,
I will.
Who knows?
Real quick, our weekly Beyond the Dune C plug here, but they put out an interesting theory that what we're gonna learn in the Bad Batch about Asajj and how she came back may carry all the way into what Thrawn is doing on Dathomir with those caskets.
I mean, yeah, that makes sense, and I think when
maybe
we
see
had
the magic or anything.
Yeah, like when we had first heard about Ventress, that was my kind of thought was like, okay, well, if you bring this character back, then like let her survive through into the Mandoverse, and then
that would be awesome.
When the fucking battle comes up between the New Republic and the Thrawn, and
she's
have
on
to
pick
side.
A side again because it'd be her people.
Yeah, exactly. Like then you have this character who is truly caught in between.
God
like
damn. sign this kid up. Like, get your typewriter out. Start fucking punching up some scripts. Because you are right. How badass would it be to have Asajj make her live action debut in the Mandoverse, and she's literally presented with, are you going to help these evil motherfuckers because he brought back your race and they've pretty much been extinct in this galaxy? Or are you still kind of in that gray area where you're definitely not dark side, but you're not 100% a, New Republic supporter, flag waver? Yeah, I would really, really dig that type of deal.
Yeah. I think
and like Bat's saying, we know what they can do with reanimating corpses, bringing legs back. I mean, the Night Sisters clearly have some magic, but it'd be a good way to like show us, like, all right, here we go. This is what can happen on Dathomir with Night Sisters and their magic. So when we get back to Ahsoka season 2, and they're out there doing like a humming seance, we're like, oh, okay, there we go. I remember this. All right. Next one here, a proper send-off for the batch at the end, Nick, and I'm guessing that's probably going to be a hero's death, maybe. Like, what's proper here?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the way that I thought about it when I wrote this down was, like, let's have a situation like the end of TCW season 7, where it's like you see the graves built out and everything that
so like an epilogue of sorts,
kind of, at the end of TCW we see like, the graves were made and stuff like that through Vader being there, like, Vader sees the graves of the 332nd and stuff like that with the Morai flying over. But I really do think that, like, you could do something like that where it's just like a poignant silent moment for whoever was close to the batch, or you could make it more like something like the end of, and this is like kind of a deep cut, but like the end of Force Unleashed, where like when Starkiller dies, like his death is essentially the spark that built the rebellion, like he was one of the key figures that really proved to the people who started the rebellion that this thing could work. Like, if we can get people like this guy, then this thing could work. And I think that if you do something similar with the batch, like have their death and what they did kind of spark the coalescence of the rebellion to be like, hey, look, this was done by these 3 or 4
clones, like discarded clones. The Empire was going to kill them after their heroics for 3 years. Yeah,
and it really would be like a spark of hope, like for the galaxy.
It would almost be. I would love an epilogue. Now that you brought it up, I think that would be fantastic. Just as you said, just as Clone Wars did. I mean, obviously we saw Ahsoka and Rex. They downed the whatever the hell those things are, and we saw her with her hood on. We saw that they made the graves, but then we flash forward a couple years. I believe it's 2 years now in my timelines book, Nick. They actually notate that. But yeah, you got Vader walking around looking at the aftermath of the crash from many years prior. He picks up the lightsaber, looks up and sees Morai. I would love something like that. Even if it flashed into the future. Let's say Omega lives and it flashes to the future and she's like looking at a holo recording of the team. And then she like walks. We see her walking out of like the Masasi Temple or something. She's joined the Rebel Alliance, and people are like, and she's just reflecting on that moment where her brothers, through sacrifice, allowed her to get to where she is now.
Yeah, I mean, like ultimately, this show is short in comparison to other animated
3 seasons,
animated series. So like, what I don't want to happen is like this show ends and the batch becomes an afterthought. Like, I really do want them to end it in a way where it's like what they did is felt and reverberates into the galaxy.
You could be onto something, because who have they met? Saul Guerrera.
Yeah.
Multiple times now. Like, I mean, you remember in season 2, he kind of fucked up their mission because he was there to fuck up the Empire.
Yeah.
So, it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility that he hears about this and he's like, well, shit, these guys, clones, were willing to do this. it's time to step this shit up. And, maybe that's when he gets linked in with Luthen. We're not going to see that in Bad Batch, but I like it. Okay. I dig it. And our last one here before we get into the predictions, which we're going to scoot through, is Palpatine killing an Imperial officer for failing at Tantus. So Nick was explaining this. We never really see it. We see Vader doing it a lot. We want to see the guy do it.
Yeah. I mean, what we know about Tantus is that this is Palpatine's personal project.
Pet project times 1,000.
Yeah. I mean, like, this is his, like Ian said, this is his plan B. This is his, if all else goes wrong, this program is going to save me.
Even more important than Vader, right? You would argue.
Yeah. Like, way more important than Vader, because he knows, like, Palpatine knows that there's a possibility that Vader doesn't work out, which is why he was training other people on the side.
He's also damaged goods from when he thought he was getting Vader.
So, like, even more so after Rots, Palpatine's like, look, I got fucking half of a chosen one, but
literally,
like, I got half the guy that I wanted.
A torso and a stub.
So, like, what do I do now? Like, I need a fallback plan, and this is his fallback plan. And when this falls apart, this should be personal to him. And I would really want to see, like, him really show some emotion, some fury towards the failure of Tantus, and not just like, hey, let me phone up Vader and tell Vader to choke out a fucking Imperial guy. Like, really make Palpatine the guy who unleashes his fury after the loss of this, like, ultra important part of his plan B.
Yeah, and this is also the guy that came up with Operation Cinder, which was literally a double bird to the Empire. You guys failed because I died, so now you all have to die.
Yeah, now
you all have to kill each other, essentially. So he's definitely, I'm taking my ball and going home. That's his type of personality.
And like you said too, Matt, the only time that we've seen Palpatine in like really fight somebody that wasn't, Yoda, was in Clone Wars when he fought Savage in Maul. Like, you really don't get to see him fight a lot. Like, you don't even really get to see him use his fucking powers all that much. Like,
it gives Luke a little shock in Jedi, but that's about it. It just stands there. You don't, he outside of the comics where he just tees off on Vader. I mean, he just, it was like 2 or 3 Vaders ago. Vader comes flying into Coruscant, hell-bent on killing Palpatine. This is all they do. You know why the Rebels won in Return of the Jedi? Because for the 2 or 3 years between Empire, or 1 year between that and Return of the Jedi, the 2 Sith were doing were trying to kill each other.
Yeah,
that's it. Like, literally, that's it. He flies into Coruscant. Palpatine's like, shoot him down. He shoots him down. Vader starts killing a bunch of people, and then Palpatine's like, okay, my turn. He's like, wah, 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 wagga, wagga, wagga. He's like, all right, I'm still the best, right? I can see you're getting angry and you think you're getting stronger, but I'm still Palpatine. So I'm with you, Nick. I'd love to see it too. Now it's time for our predictions. Okay,
that's right.
So these are what we actually think is going to happen, which probably isn't going to sound as cool as our wants, but you never know. Maybe these will be taken to the bankers. Up first, Omega is the lone survivor of Clone Force 99. I do think ultimately she is going to make it out. She will be the only 99 member, but like we said in our wants, I just hope that it is used smartly from a narrative standpoint moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with this prediction. I think that of everybody who has been a main character in the show, it makes the most sense for Omega to be the survivor, because she can have the most impact on the story moving forward, for sure.
All right, next prediction here. I think the Bad Batch and whoever comes with them, they are going to end up setting the Empire's cloning program back significantly, possibly even destroying Tantus in full.
Yeah, I do think, agree with that as well. We know that that Tantus is like the key stronghold that they're going to be, infiltrating or trying to infiltrate. So there's definitely going to be some negative repercussions on that cloning program because of whatever they do at Tantus. There's no way that their plan is like quiet infiltrate, pull out 1 or 2 people, and then just let it go as is. Like there's definitely going to be some mayhem.
Hemlock is essentially Dr. Mengele of clones. Like all Tantus is like a clone experiment torture mountain. So they're not going there just to save Omega and Crosshair. They're going there to try and save everyone and then put this thing to bed. And it just makes sense because, I mean, we're all the way into the Mandoverse era and the Empire still is struggling with cloning. We think Gideon finally figured out how to infuse some Force stuff, but I mean, we're talking decades. So I do think a big win here that Clone Force 99 is going to get and the other clones is they're at least going to be delaying Palpatine's plans, and possibly, Nick, they may be the reason that all this gets shifted to Exegol in the first place.
Yeah, it definitely could be, because at this point, like if Tantus fails, and Tantus was a very remote base, like it's built into a mountain,
right?
Like
and no one knows about. Like they don't even know they don't know how to get there. That's why at the end when they couldn't follow Hemlock, they knew they were fucked.
Yeah, so like if this one fails, then like Palpatine's only other option is like, well, do I have to go somewhere where literally nobody even knows how to get to the fucking planet?
Right. Yeah, you
like,
need wayfinders, this, that, until you get there.
Like, you need all this other shit.
I want to remind everyone, in the comics, again, in between Empire and Jedi, Vader makes it to Exegol and finds all of Palpatine's shit, and he literally has Luke's hand in a jar, and he's already like cloning motherfuckers in jars. So I could see this, the Bad Batch being the reason that he shifts his specific cloning op to Exegol.
Yeah.
All right. This is one I don't really want to acknowledge, but I think it is going to happen. Tech resurrected.
Oh, man, I'm so torn.
They've gone to the well so many times. I can't see them not doing it again, sadly.
Yeah, I mean, it's as much as I don't want this to happen, like I truly don't want this to happen.
I'm with you.
But given Star Wars' track record recently, oh my God, it's highly likely that they will. And it just like it hurts me that they do it, because he died in such a good manner.
It was amazing. I remember when we talked about it, was one of the best sacrificial deaths in Star Wars, and it's a freaking cartoon. So please, Tech, stay dead, but we know you the writing room over there, so that's why we're predicting you're probably going to be resurrected.
Yeah, so we'll see.
Next one here, I'm going to say my initial prediction, but then I'm going to kind of spin it on one of Nick's wants. I think Hemlock is going to die by Omega's hands, although if anyone's going to get nuked by Force lightning, it would be this guy, because he is like the head of Tantus. So
I would say like he's the guy. Like he's kind of the guy,
right? Like if anyone's going to get some blame placed on their shoulders with a lightning nudge, it's going to be Hemlock. But even more than Crosshair, I don't know. I would like for Omega to take him out, and that's kind of what I'm predicting still.
Yeah, I think what makes the most narrative sense would be that given what I want to come out of it, Palpatine really punishing somebody. I would prefer it to be Palpatine that kills him, but for a cool like in-show moment, it would be pretty sick if Omega closed him out.
Give her that victory. I mean, he snagged her. He's done unspeakable things to her clone brothers, and even Emery, her sister. Who knows what he's been doing to her. So yeah, I'd like Omega to take him out, but I would take some Sith lightning too, like Nick is pining for. All right, next prediction, and we've already laid this out there. We've got a clip out there, so it is saved for future generations to give us all the credit when it happens. But Nick, I'm with you, man. I really think Emery is going to orchestrate some sort of, as we're calling it, Order 99.
Order 99.
I
That's
do.
Right, man.
And kind of like you were spitballing a few weeks ago, it's going to be something with the chips where kind of like Travis is saying here, where she either has to flip them to take out all the clones because they're just uncontrollable, or it's a rewrite of, let's delete that Order 66 program, and now your directive is you have none. You are free. You can now think like a Rex or like the Bad Batch because they have their chips removed. So yeah, I think that's one of your best ever predictions. I'm running with it, which means they're probably not going to do it because it makes too much sense and it'd be too cool. But we're laying it out there. We are predicting it.
It'd be so cool. It'd be so cool. I would love to see it. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, sometimes stuff like this just like falls under the writing radar in the writer's room. But man, that would be such a fucking cool thing.
It'd be everything, which means it's not going to happen. So
yeah,
we'll just keep it on our head canon for now. But if it did happen, just make sure to let everyone know that you heard it here first. We're talking weeks ago. We're just rehashing it right now. All right, next prediction. Potentially see the first generation of Dark Troopers using clones, or maybe even Death Troopers. Because if you listen to Gideon, he makes it very clear that his Dark Trooper that he ends up becoming is version 3.0, the best version. Because, hey, we finally got some meat in there, and meat that has the Force, we think.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's in Legends, this, that, or the other thing, but I do believe there were rumblings where clones were potentially being used to make new type of trooper units. If anything, Nick, I think we are going to learn exactly what was happening at Tantus with the clones in particular.
Yeah. I think that like seeing first gen Dark Troopers like does another thing that we wanted to see as well, which is like draw these parallels to like the other cloning initiatives that we've seen in in the Mandalorian universe. And if you do that here, if you bring in like, hey, Dark Trooper V1, like maybe, we're talking about like Vader, Vader may be the only person who would be cool for the batch to like really show down with and go out to, but like maybe they have to fight through V1 Dark Troopers and like they're legit and like they put up a really good fight.
They'd almost be like cyborgs. I mean, they kind of have like the brains of the clones in there, so they've retained all of their Jango training and Mandalorian ways, but now they have pistons and engines as a body instead of meat.
Yeah, so I do think that would be a pretty awesome thing. Yeah,
well, there you go.
There for sure.
There's a prediction. Next one here. And we kind of already talked about this, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time. But the graphic, if you will, this is from the comic showing Palpatine already had all the Star Destroyers built before Return of the Jedi, had his Snoke cloning tubes, Luke's hand. But as I said, I do think we're going to get a tease of the cloning stuff being moved to Exegol. I really, 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 really think that's going to happen. Or why have we been doing this? Why are we doing the cloning stuff now? Honestly, why? If we're not going to make that through line.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you there. Like it needs to be brought up at least by the end of this series.
Right, even if it's epilogue. Like that perfect scene for an epilogue, you do a tour, all right, we catch up with the good guys. Now, okay, well, what happened with the, essentially what we're saying, the destruction of Tantus? How's the Emperor going to kind of account for that? And, he's always had Plan C, Exegol, ready to rock. Okay, back to our buddy Cody here. And this is an easy one. We're just making the prediction here that Commander Cody's fate will be decided by the end of Bad Batch Season 3. We are finally going to find out what happened to Cody. Why wasn't he with Rex, Gregor, and Wolf? Why wasn't he with Kenobi? What happened to him? I think we get it. Is it going to be the heel turn like I want? I don't know, but I think an easy prediction we can make is we are going to get a resolution to the story of Commander Cody.
Yeah, I think that his exclusion from the Kenobi series basically puts you in a position to where like you have to wrap him up now. Like, because if you don't wrap him up by the end of this season, then like you just won't ever do it. Like you're just never going to have a closed thread for Cody. So I really do think that this is their last option.
Well, yeah, I mean, Travis is with us here in the live stream. He's saying, I'd love a Shawshank-esque ending where we get epilogues for the surviving clones, Cody finding Obi-Wan on Tatooine, approaching his home to reconcile. Yeah, that's I would take any of that.
Perfectly fine.
That's what we're saying. I'm not saying Cody's going to die. I'm just saying we're going to know his fate by the end of Bad Batch. If we don't, it's another stumble by the writing team.
Yeah.
All right. Yes, Sir Dork, we're with you. We really want to know Cody's fate as well. Next prediction coming up. We got 2 more. Go ahead and change. There we go. Ultimate fate of clones decided through mass extinction or via Order 99 reprogramming. So there you go, kind of tying it all together. We want to see it. I do think we are going to get it. Otherwise, it's a huge narrative hole moving down the Star Wars timeline. Like, where did these millions of clone soldiers go? As Bat's been saying, it's essentially a race within the Star Wars galaxy that just disappears for some reason. I think we see it, and it's either going to be mass extinction or through this rewiring, it might be a one-shot deal. Like, hey, we're going to break your conditioning, but you're pretty much going to die in the next couple days, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it could. You know what would be an interesting ending? If you've ever seen the I, Robot movie with Will Smith, I mean, I know that this is like a fucking, like, you know, it was kind of popular back in the early 2000s.
It's a good movie.
At the end of that movie, I mean, that's essentially what happens to all the robots. Like, they get their programming reset, and now they have a will of their own. So, like, they're not just, you know, these robotic slaves to humans. Like, they have the ability to choose and to live a life. And I really do think that, like, if this show is going to end sad, which it probably will, like, the bright spot that you can have is like, hey, the clones at least now have the ability to live out their life in whatever way they so choose. And I do think that would be a very powerful ending for this show, for sure.
They have to be accounted for. You can't have this big of a number of humanoid characters floating around the galaxy, and then they're just gone. So
yeah, I totally agree.
Hopefully we get something. We're predicting we're going to get something. And our last one here, taking it back all the way to our first one. I don't know, man. I think we're going to get a Boba and Omega unknowingly crossing paths moment. Where it could be him in his helmet just walking by her with other bounty hunters, something like that. I think that's how it's going to play out.
I could definitely see it being like that, where it's like almost a passing glance from him.
Exactly.
Where like he is shrouded, like, and she can't really see what he looks like.
Possibly even epilogue shit.
Yeah, I mean, that could definitely be like, you could almost look at it as like a foreshadowing or a teaser if they choose to keep Omega alive. Like, if that moment does happen, does that like foreshadow or tease something that could happen in the Mandoverse, like where those two characters somehow link up again?
Well, as you said, I think last week, that would be the perfect time for them to actually explore their familial bond, because Boba is in a headspace to where he wants that. He needs it, in fact. He wants family. So I'm with you where if they do really kind of get into it and explore their past, it probably would have to be in live action into that era, not now. Now, I think because unless they get right to it in season 3 and they start to, you know, hey, like, you two are brother and sister, it's going to have to be a very innocuous interaction the first time.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I just don't see... I don't think they have enough room to really dig into that in this season. I think there's a lot of stuff that's going to happen, and I don't know if you have enough time to, like, detour for that kind of
so that's why I'm predicting it's going to be pretty casual, almost an unknowing crossing of paths. Neither one will really know that they're in the same vicinity as their sibling.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah,
all right.
Call.
that does it. Real quick before we get into the fan segment, if you're on the live stream, you can see it up there, but we do have run times for the first 8 episodes of Bad Batch Season 3. Next week, everyone should plan for about 80 total minutes between the 3 episodes. I'm not sure if that includes credits. I think it does not. Episode 1, 31 minutes. Episode 2, 25. 3, 25. Episode 4, 25 minutes. Episode 5, 26 minutes. 6, 25. 7, 23. 8, 25. So episode 1 is going to have a little more juice to it than a standard episode. But Nick, it looks like, as usual for a cartoon, a 30-minute show, we're looking anywhere from 23 to 25 minutes of content each week.
Yep.
So that takes us into the SWTS fan segment. We do it every week. There's 2 ways to get involved. First way is through the question of the week. I guess there's 3 now. You could ask us a question.
Ask us a question, yeah.
We'll ask you all a question over on StarWarsTime.show. Typically, that's on Instagram. Question usually gets dropped early Tuesday morning. I don't know what happened today, but it went nowhere. It only went to 96 accounts. So only got 2 comments, so it's going to be short and sweet this week, Nick. But we did get a question from the fans. So let me go ahead and pull that up real quick. Our buddy Ripik Tan keeps coming through. He somehow has busted through the algo to actually see our new content. So, Nick, he's asking us, who's dying? I'm guessing that's in relation to the Bad Batch, but since it's open, it could be, I don't know, anyone you know dying? Are you dying?
As an existential question, Ripik, the answer is we're all dying. From the moment
you're born, buddy.
You're born, you are dying.
Yeah.
So, but in terms of related to this topic, if it was up to me, the whole batch is out.
Oh, like, they have
Hunter, Wrecker, Tech is obviously stays dead. Like all of them go out, and they go out in a way that is honorable, and that is truly like a spark for the formation of the rebellion. Like there are people that are affected by their sacrifice, that see their sacrifice as a beacon of hope for what can be done in the galaxy if people come together and fight against a common cause. So that is how I would say it.
Yeah, I'm with you. So I'm not going to retread the batch. They have to die. I'll throw out, I think Hemlock also dies, and Commander Cody. So there you go, Ripik. Thanks for the question. We also throw those up on Instagram at StarWarsTime.show. Those will just be in stories using their question sticker. So like Sir Dork is saying, try not to miss them. But we know a lot of times it's probably not your fault because you're probably getting ads, because that's more or less what IG has become these days.
A lot of ads.
Ooh, a post. Ooh, an ad. Ooh, an ad. Ooh, a post. Ad, post. Ad, post. All right, so now for the actual question of the week. Like I said, we do this every week. At the end of the show, you just got to find the prompt and get involved. So this week we asked you all, what is your best Bad Batch S3 prediction? Sadly, we only got 2 replies, but it's from 2 of the most loyal and longest serving of fandos, Johnny Osage and Mr. Bat, 2797 Studios.
All right, so we'll kick it off with Johnny first. Johnny gives us a good response here. He says, more storytelling opportunities for future Star Wars shows or movies. Since it seems that most clones are done away with at the end of this series, perhaps Omega makes a statement like, I am the last one, and Rex says, no, there is another. This could open the door for Omega live action in either Disney Plus or Alpha and Omega, a Django story. That's funny.
Well, I know Johnny's a huge I believe he's a big Batch fan, at least an Omega fan, because he's always making custom Omegas as an adult. So he's been pitching and predicting an older, teen, young adult Omega for many years now. So I can definitely see him getting behind and stumping for the Alpha and Omega, a Django story. That's brilliant, actually, if you think about it.
Definitely. Hey, man, like I would be all for it if they can find a way to work that in and do it well. So, good stuff there from Johnny. Thank you, as always. And then, like Matt said, 2797 Studios, our good friend, Mr. Bat. He says lots of heartache. Probably so, honestly. Like, there's not a sunshine and rainbows ending to Bad Batch. Unfortunately, I don't see a world where that exists. So,
no, it should be. Bad. I think you're going to get your wish just based on what we've been seeing from the early media reviews. It definitely sounds. The tone is dark. It gets right to it. It's real. Like, this ain't bubbly farting around. Hopefully, Pabu crap. I still can't get over Johnny's Alpha and Omega a Django story. I want like a full treatment for this bit at this point in time. I feel like it's something you could do on Saturday Night Live, like
Johnny,
a sketch.
Pitch the show to us. Tell us what you want. Give me an elevator pitch. What do you got? Because it sounds like it could be good.
All right, real quick before we switch to the top 5, I forgot to show this off. I just got this from my wife before we went live. It's amazing. And I hate even touching it. And too bad Props isn't here because he'd really like this. But if you can see it on the live stream, I'm holding up. It's a revised 4th draft of George Lucas's script for Star Wars. The first one.
This is before, or is this after he renamed it? Yeah, so this is after he renamed it from...
Well, it still says From the Journey of the Wills by George Lucas. And on the cover, and this is why I say we need our boy Justin in here, signatures. So it's got Hamill, Lucas, Carey, James Earl Jones.
Wow.
And I have not been able to figure out this one, sadly. I can't. It looks like a John or something. I can't tell.
Is it? Well, it wouldn't be Kazdan. I mean, it could be Kazdan, but I don't think it would be for that particular
I don't know. Either
movie.
way, the fact that it has Mark, Carey, and George and James on it, that's gold. I mean, I guess Peter and maybe Harrison, but come on. So yeah, this is freaking rad. I don't collect stuff like this, so it's like, whoa.
That's
feel
amazing.
like I feel bad even touching it right now, and I kind of want it in what they have, the Declaration of Independence. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you got to get an acrylic case for that for sure.
But I've never owned a collectible like this, and that's why it's pretty freaking awesome. And I've kind of thumbed through it, dude, and it's like you can see the cut scenes. Like, it talks about Luke hanging out with Biggs and Fixer and Cammy. So. Very cool little gift. And like I said, I hate that I'm smudging it, so I'm going to go ahead and put it down.
Yeah, no, that's an awesome gift for sure. Amazing. I'm
going to have to kick out some figures from the glass shelves and, kind of get that on a mount or something.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, sorry about that, everyone. A little show and tell before we change gears and get into the top 5 Star Wars fan artists of the week. We do it every week. Typically from Instagram, that's where Nick finds his sources. The way to get involved, use hashtag Star Wars Time Show. But if you want to be considered for the top 5 every week, you have to use ad tag at Star Wars Time Show. Don't just do at Star Wars Time Show in your caption. Physically do the ad tag. Add us. Because while I'll pull from the hashtag and the tags for our daily reel features, Nick only anoints his top 5 through the tagged post.
That's right.
And this is all on StarWarsTime.show. All right, Nick, who made the grade?
The people who made the grade this week kick off with Plastic Picks. It's _Plastic Picks _ on Instagram. And we have an awesome shot here of Jon Favreau, a.k.a. Heavy Mando, a.k.a. Paz Vizsla. He's doing his thing. Heavy Mando is doing his thing, taking out some Imperial Remnant stormtroopers with explosions, with his Gatling gun. You can see his jetpack going off as well. This guy's using all of the tools of the trade to take out the Imperial Remnant. So it was just an awesome shot. I also love how Plastic Picks either use like some sort of like diorama to make like the ground itself like exploded right next to these figures.
Yeah,
so I just thought it was really cool.
I'm guessing it's probably a prop from another toy, or maybe they just kind of built up some rocks and then either lit off a firework or used some VFX. But yeah, it's a super cool shot. I think the troopers look rad. Plastic Picks did some custom weathering on them. So they look super dope, great looking helmets there, but I also very, very well done ragdoll poses on those bucket heads getting blasted. So great work here from _plastic_pics with an X_ on Instagram.
That's right. Next up, we have Captain X. So it's CPT_EKS on Instagram. I really love this shot. I think this may be one of the first times I've seen something like it, but it is a recreation of the medal ceremony at the end of A New Hope. And what I mean, you see like everybody that was up there. You see Mon Mothma. You see you see Han, Luke, and Leia. You see Chewie. You see all of the crowd. C-3PO and R2-D2. Everybody's there. Everybody who was in the shot in the movie is there. And it really is. It's a cool representation or scene recreation from the medal ceremony. And just like in the medal ceremony, Chewie has no medal. As
that poor bastard.
Poor bastard.
This setup is insane, by the way.
Yeah.
This is all practical. Like he essentially built the inside of the Massassi Temple from Star Wars. It's nuts. It lined up all the random rebel pilots and soldiers and officers, and like you said, he's got Dodonna up there with Princess Leia handing out the medals. They're turned around facing the crowd like we see at the very end. It really is just an impressive shot, setup, idea, and execution.
Yeah. At CPT_EKS on Instagram, Captain X killed it with the medal ceremony scene recreation. All right, next up, we have Kill Cutter Photo, and this is, everybody who listens to this show should know who Kill Cutter is, obviously, but this is the collab piece with at Dr. Toys on Instagram, and Dr. Toys created, like an awesome custom female stormtrooper that just looks fucking sick as hell,
dude. So cool,
and like the way, like the shot itself is just a Kill Cutter classic. I'll just put it that way. It's like you have the female custom stormtrooper front and center, but then in the background you have split helmet Vader on a field, like they're all on the field of snow outside. You got split helmet Vader. You got two other stormtroopers in the background. You got two TIEs flying overhead, and then just this badass female trooper right front and center. I mean, it's just one of those shots that like you look at from Kill Cutter and you're like, dude, this is just crazy. It's so cool looking. I don't even know how else to describe it other than it's fucking cool.
Yeah, as you said, it's got that Kill Cutter branded feel to it. I mean, it's 100% Kill Cutter Photo. You can just look at it. Don't even need to read the caption or see the artist. The mix of different scales, I believe those are Jazzwares TIE Fighters up there, so they are practical. That's not just something digital added in. I'm always going to like stuff with cracked helmet Vader in here. I mean, this is another one where I might have to go revise my ass to the poor gentleman and be like, hey, add this to the list of prints that I'd like you to send me one day in the mail. Because a few weeks ago, I was kind of busting his chops and he actually reached out. He's like, dude, I'd love to send some. He just let me know. I was like, well, this one and that one, this one, that one, that one. I gave him like 50 and he's probably like, yeah fuck you.
He's like, I'll send you 2.
Yeah,
so pick 2.
He ain't sending shit. But if he ever sends it, I would take this one. It's just awesome Kill Cutter Photo work. All right.
Indeed. Next up, we have at sentimental_scoundrel. And you can tell that I was feeling a little sentimental this week. We had the medal ceremony recreation, and now we have another one here from A New Hope. So it's the gang. It's all of them. It's our heroes of the OT, and they're going through their Death Star escape. So you see Farm Boy Luke, you see Flyboy Han, you see Princess Leia, and you see good old walking carpet Chewbacca making their way through the Death Star as they fight their way out to ultimately make their way to the Millennium Falcon. I just thought that the setup was perfect. I know it's not a traditional camera angle, probably like coming like down and askew to the right, but I feel like it captures the essence of these characters so well. The diorama setup is clearly from the Death Star. I just thought it was a really great capture of our OT heroes in the first time that we've all ever seen them together on the Death Star breaking out.
Oh yeah, it's the pimps, the Three Musketeers plus one. I love it. It's just I just read in the caption, these are actually custom figures that Sentimental Scoundrel painted themselves, which is even more impressive. I mean, that, like the Han and Leia sculpts, those are just absolutely immaculate, really kind of bumping up the quality, the look of the Black Series figures. But anytime you get these four characters together, Luke, Han, Leia, and Chewie, that's Star Wars. So yeah, I'm feeling the nostalgia that you were feeling.
Indeed. Good stuff there at Sentimental_Scoundrel on the IG. And to close this one out, we have at Sunset_Doom. Sunset Doom has definitely popped up in the top 5 before. And it's for like cinematic shots like this. I mean, Sunset Doom really just has a way with the camera to make, a toy picture feel like a scene from a movie. And this one is a perfect representation of that. We see Din just kind of like walking alone across this craggy landscape. In the background blurred, you can see the modified N1 Starfighter that he now uses in The Mandalorian. And it really is just kind of like a poignant shot of Din walking by himself, on this planet in the rain. I don't even know what it's just a really poignant shot.
It's cool. It's solemn Mando. I like the mixed scale, right? I mean, the N1 is 118, Mando's 112. So that's always a fun trick to do with a camera. But yeah, I mean, I even a big fan of Sunset Dooms. They just always produce great looking shots every week. Nice tight shots, always clear. Not a lot of flare and stuff, not a lot of VFX, not a lot of fireworks, just capturing characters, just doing regular things. And I always appreciate that because that's kind of how I like to shoot the toys when I used to do it. It's almost like shooting people. Try to just get a candid versus a stage shot. So great work here from Sunset_DOOM.
That's right. Well, that is the end of the top 5 for this week, which means that's the end of our show. Don't forget, next week we are moving to Wednesdays. But yes, that's the end. So Matt, go ahead and close us out.
All right. Thank you, Nick. That's right. Don't forget what he said. Because Bad Batch is in season and just because we want to, the Star Wars Time Show is moving days permanently to Wednesdays. So Wednesdays, the streams will take place 5 p or as close as we can hit. East, that is, on youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show. But what you should do in the meantime is study StarWarsTime.net. All right. That's our home base on the internet, as I always say. We just got to get the rest of you to keep saying it and saying it to people that might not be fandos quite yet. Speak the good word of the SWTS. Bring them to our altar. Let them hear the spoken word of Matt and Nick. It may be dumb, but it's always going to be slightly entertaining. That's what we shoot for. Never fully, just slightly. All right, people, keep it up. We've got a new show coming, Bad Batch, starting next Wednesday, the 21st. Nick and I will be here at 5 to break it down, to go through all 3 episodes, to let you know what you didn't know. Did you miss anything? Did you see that Easter egg? Do you know why that character did that? What is it going to mean down the road? We will tell you next week on the SWTS. Just don't forget that there's always time for Star Wars Time. And if you listen to the Star Wars Time Show, the Force will be with you always.